Welcome back to Pixels and Pints. It's another fun-filled afternoon of episode recording. That's a sentence that I just made with my mouth. My name's Tom. I am one of your three hosts tonight. I have Dan with me.
Hi.
And I've also got Pete.
Howdy.
If you're expecting anything different, you obviously are new to the show. Because that's basically all we do. It's just the three of us. Rarely get a guest. Tonight we're going to be doing the usual. We're going to review some tasty beers. We're going to, what else are we going to do? Talk about some movies, some trailers, some games. Have a big, long discussion in the latter half once we've had 3 beers and hope it doesn't go too sideways. And that's us.
Pretty
Over
much.
to someone else.
There was a distinct lack of, we've lost a Dan. There was a distinct lack of enthusiasm, but you kind of got it back.
That was the
through.
most enthusiastic thing I think I've done
in the last 3 hours.
Today. Tom might be recording with a severe hangover thanks to imbibing in 11.3% stouts last night. They only served you it was more than that. It was like 17%. They only just served you 90 mils. Yeah, it was delicious though. Went down too smoothly. But yes, we've lost a Dan. He'll be back shortly.
I'm sure he will.
I mean, let's just trundle on then with let's review it. Let's crack a beer because that's the best thing for a hangover.
Crack a beer. Hair of the dog.
Yes. I haven't tried mine, Pete. Do you want to go first? You've had a sip or two.
Can do. I am drinking 6-string all the way from New Zealand. 6-string Brewing's wet hop ale.
6-stringer from the Central Coast.
Oh, well, then it didn't come from you. I thought it was New Zealand. What am I thinking of?
They're an Erina.
What fucking New Zealand beer brewing company am I thinking of? Anyway.
8 Wide.
8 Wide, thank you.
Numbers and
guitar analogies, I don't fucking know. Anyway, yeah, so 6-string Brewing wet hop pale ale. Thought I'd go for something simple to start with because I've got some big beers coming up. So it's 4.6% starter, and it's actually really good. I'm impressed. I mean, it punches well above its weight. It punches like an IPA for a pale.
Yeah.
Really dank. Lots and lots of hoppiness. I'm just looking them up on Untapped. Chinook and Centennial, harvested from rye-filled hops and brewed on the same day. Fresh hops accentuate the pure lupulin, providing a bouquet of pine and citrus alongside a grassy dankness depth that you'll only get in a wet hop brew. It's definitely danky. It's very, very hoppy for like I said, for a pale ale. It's surprising. So
yeah. What are we giving it, Peter?
They're obviously
pixels out of. Oh no, keep going.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say it's quite bitter, like very bitter to finish. It's only 40 IBU, but it tastes higher than that.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 4. That's pretty impressive for a pale.
Nice.
And you?
I have gone with. Sorry, I was just reading about it actually. I've gone with a Pilsner to start. The exact opposite end of what I was drinking last night. This is the White Bay and Freshwater Brewing, so a little collab. This is their Up Top Slovenian Pilsner. So this was brewed at White Bay with freshwater. It's a lovely little gold can with some I guess I'm assuming there's some Slovenian references in the artwork, I'm sure. It does say that they were made with European malts and Slovenian hops, so they imported everything.
Yeah, right.
This Pilsner is a liquid high 5 and celebrates our shared love of lager and hops. That was brewed with the finest European malts they could get their hands on and hopped with an absolute mind-bending amount of Slovenian-grown Bobek and Celia hop. We poured out all the stops with this one, a painfully long 4-step mash, extra cold fermentation, unfiltered, and naturally carbonated. And then there is a toast in Slovenian, which I am now going to butcher. Nazaravi? Nazgul? I don't know. I apologize to all our Slovenian listeners. I have not yet to wrap my tongue, head, face around your delectable language. Pete was really scared where that was going for a second.
Yeah, it was.
But it is. Look, it's a naturally cloudy Pilsner. Definitely not as crisp and see-through as
Filtered
we've
as
had.
you'd expect,
We've seen some other ones recently we've had on here. It does have quite a nice hoppiness to it, and it's a very strong bready backbone of the malt. It's very, very good. This is perfect. I feel rejuvenated. I feel like a new man.
From one sip.
Imagine what's going to happen by the time I get to the bottom of the glass. I'll be several new men. I'll just clone myself. Multiple men? He was an X-Men. He was a cool X-Men.
He was.
Yeah. That is very, very good. That is the kind of Pilsner I quite enjoy when it's just a little bit hoppier. I wouldn't say it's not still not, it's very crisp still, but definitely not as crisp as some of those filtered ones that we've had recently where it's like pure see-through and almost water.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, that is fantastic. I'm definitely, that's a 4.5 straight off the bat.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. We'll have to revisit Dan's first beer when he comes back. He's currently in the middle of rebooting the street that he lives on.
Yep.
So I think we'll move into some news in the meantime.
We interrupt this broadcast with some breaking news from the front.
Go for it. You wrote most of these. Well done.
I did. I even wrote your one that you like to talk about, which you will talk about. I just wrote it down.
I know, I saw that. I got a very warm glow.
The Red Dead Redemption port has been released to PlayStation 4/5, noting there was already a backwards compatible version on Xbox Series X and Series S. So this is kind of the second port that they've done. It's a straight port. They have not done anything.
Yeah.
It is literally just update so that it runs on PlayStation 4 and walk away. But they're charging $70. So it's not quite AAA brand new title price, but it's pretty damn close.
Pretty close, yeah.
The game mechanics haven't been updated. The bugs haven't been updated. They got it to a pretty good state, mind you. The game is like a decade old. But, if there was a fuck up in the old version, there's a fuck up in the new version. It ultimately just looks prettier because the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 graphics engine has been up, uses more modern shaders.
Yeah.
So back in the PlayStation 3 days, they had some basic anti-aliasing algorithms that were kind of baked into the graphics engine. It used a kind of a soft filter over the top of that AA engine just to make it look less jagged and more pretty.
Yeah.
And as a result, it kind of, we're all familiar with the kind of the poxiness of the graphics, particularly if you look back at them now and do it like a side by side. So all of that's gone. It's crisp. It's 4K. The textures are a lot more a lot sharper and more legible.
Yeah.
But they haven't updated textures. The polygons haven't been increased in the models. There's literally zero effort.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm playing through with the Skyrim release I'm playing through at the moment. Like, there were some slight upgrades to it, but the same thing. It's essentially but I was looking for that, I guess. Also, I didn't pay for it because I got it through I got it through the PSPlus subscription.
Yeah.
But I totally agree where you come from that it is $70 for it out of the box. And I think that's the digital price because I'm pretty sure it's more at like EB.
I thought it was digital only, to be honest with you. There's been a few of those lately.
I did put a little note in there. I don't know if you saw it. It also got released on Switch. So if you wanted to take it handheld. And look, it's one of those ones I never played. I think I played like the first little bit of it, like when it originally came out. Didn't strike me. Didn't grab me. But now knowing how good those games are, like I've kind of been waiting for a re-release of it in a way so that I want to play that before I play 2. So I'll wait till it comes on the subscription and jump in. But yes, I won't be going out and throwing $70 at it tomorrow.
It's $70 for the physical at EB as well, but it's not released until October.
Right.
So
the first one is far less in depth than the second one. Like the second one, you've got to oil your gun, you've got to clean your horse, you've got to maintain this, you've got to do chores around the campsite. The first one doesn't have any of that. The first one's Wild West GTA.
Yeah,
it's still a brilliant story. Like
it's a fucking amazing game.
The drama and the humor, the emotional beats in the story are fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
They're spot on. That's what made it the series that it is.
And one of the most amazing cinematic, fantastic endings ever.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So if you haven't played the game, do yourself a favor. I just think $70 for a straight port with no effort is just highway robbery. It's like it's offensive, frankly.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on, some sad news. Ron Cephas Jones has passed away at 66. He's kind of I don't know if you would know him immediately when you Google him, but you may not.
Which is exactly
recognize
what
him.
I'm doing
Yep,
because
I'm
that
about
name
to
meant
too.
nothing.
He was Bobby Fish in Luke
You keep
Cage.
talking.
He was
fuck's sake.
Eddie's boss in Venom.
Oh, yep. Exactly what you said. As soon as I Googled him, I was like, I know that bloke.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
And 66 is fucking young too. There's been a few of those. Danny, you with us? Dan's kind of with us. Bethesda continue to drip feed info on Starfield. They just can't help but just feed that hype train. You good now, Dan?
Yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? That's now the 5th or 6th time tonight already.
Yeah, it's all good. Did you recognize Ron Cephas Jones?
I do.
You looked him up.
Yep.
Yeah. So Bethesda are just keeping up that hype train with Starfield. They just did a Q&A session with the developers on Discord, and basically dodged a bunch of questions. So were very selective about what they answered. I read the transcript this afternoon, which you would expect, obviously. But they did confirm that you can buy or acquire property in all of the major cities in the galaxy that you can play through either purchase or quests, which is kind of cool. And obviously, it's a Bethesda game, so assumedly you can decorate it with all the shit that you collect along the way. What I thought was cool was you can smuggle contraband in your ship, but only if you buy special modules for your ship that allow you to smuggle. So you can do the full hand solo, because you are subject to ship inspections, and you will get thrown in jail if you get caught smuggling shit you shouldn't have, which is cool.
There we go, straight in.
I don't know why that was such a violent requirement, but okay.
Hey, come on, Pete.
Ship inspections,
even he gets
unwanted
bored
and boarded.
sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Damn the man. And they also gave you a rundown on a bunch of interesting factions. There's some weird religions. There's a religion that, or a faction that worships.
Wait, are we still talking about the game or just life?
Just in general. Just in general, yeah. All bow down to the snake god. Dan, do you want to talk to us about your first beer, mate?
Yes. I'm going to tell you what it is, and then we're going to come back to it at the end of news because I need to sit on it for a minute and just get my head around it.
Okay.
So I actually got a couple of one-drop ones tonight. So I've got One Drop Hit Me Up, the thiolized double IPA. It has New Zealand Cascade in a mash hop, which is something different. It's got some spelt in it. That's something different again. Some Nelson, some Motueka, and some Citra. Double dose of Nelson, Sub-Zero. Oh, God. Yeah. I'm just going to sit on this.
You'll be reading the hop list for most of the news.
I'm going to sit on this, and then when we get to the end of the news, I'm going to come back with my opinion on it.
Yes, chef.
Okay. And you managed to cut out just as I very publicly and incorrectly declared that Six String was from New Zealand because I got them confused with 8 Wired.
Very funny. Very funny.
Six String, it is very funny. It is very good. Very good. I like that. It's like your actors' names that you get almost right. Just
not quite.
You've got metal strings and a number in there, and you just got them mixed up there somewhere.
I come from just a very slightly different universe from the multiverse. Everything's just 1% different.
Yeah, just one step off.
Yeah.
So that's classic.
While the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes continue, don't ask me what they stand for. There'll be
Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah, which was yes.
Writers Guild of America. Yes, fuck yes.
What is the AFTRA?
Well, I didn't know that was part of it. Didn't read that far ahead, did I?
So SAG-AFTRA. Anyway, the strikes continue. It looks legitimately like there's a lot going on in Hollywood with these strikes at the moment. So There was a Mandalorian extra, a woman who has recently claimed that she was pressured by Disney or Lucasfilm into allowing them to digitally scan her. And she was basically, it was implied that if she didn't let them digitally scan her, she probably wouldn't get called back for any more extra work on the show. Now, ironically, she wasn't called back anyway after they digitally scanned her. They basically paid her $170 for a day of filming. She wasn't able to consult her union rep because while on set...
Whoa, $170?
US dollars for the day, yes.
Mate, that's like petrol to get there.
That's how much you get paid as an extra in Mando, yeah.
Whoa.
So, assumedly she didn't have any lines or anything like that. She would have been just an extra in the background, I assume. But all the phones are locked up on set. So while they're pressuring her to do this thing and making her an offer and implying that she won't get extra work if she doesn't, she also wasn't allowed to ring anybody for advice. So yes, and then it came out recently as well that every background actor in WandaVision was also digitally scanned. Now, this is going to come up again later on in the context of removing properties from streaming services to avoid paying fees to actors. But essentially, these digital scans allow studios to digi-double characters or actors, particularly background actors where they don't need to pass the litmus test up close because they'll never be up close. They're just background people.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay extras anymore. You can just scan them once and then you've got a catalog in a library somewhere of 1 million of these extras that you don't have to pay anything for.
Yeah.
Hence, I mean, that is one of the reasons why everyone's striking, or the actors are striking at the moment, is streaming rights and digital scan and AI and those sorts of things. So it's all kind of coming to a head.
Well, we're definitely going to get into the weeds on that later on.
Yeah. The Flash, in case anyone was at all surprised, The Flash officially bombed. So it took $268 million in the theaters box office, with a reported budget of $200 million before advertising. Basically means that it lost between 50 and 150 million below break even.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not what you want.
No. It's amazing how much they spend on advertising too. You make a film for $200 million and it costs you $300 to $400 million by the time you finish paying for advertising. That's just mental.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think about it, all those, especially now they're doing all those like digital billboards, like the 3D billboards and stuff. They must cost a fair bit to run.
Plus, they had to recut it because they weren't sure if Ezra was going to be in it, and then they cut him back in, and AC Mirage releasing a week early on October 5, while Alan Wake 2 was delayed 10 days to October 27, in case you're waiting for either of those games. AC Mirage, I pre-ordered the big box set thing like last year and forgot about it, so I'm glad I was recently sifting through email and found the email. I was going to buy it again. Like, I'd completely forgotten about it. And on a related note, have you seen that... and it's not on the news on the run sheet. Have you seen the collector's box set for Baldur's Gate 3 is already being resold on eBay for over $1,000 US?
Yeah. I mean, that happened after the Spider-Man 2 one sold out. They were like, it was like 2 hours later. They were up on eBay for triple the price.
So they were selling them. So they never sold them in Australia. First and foremost, you couldn't order them from the Larian store in Australia.
Can I jump in? I don't want to open any more windows because my thing's already touchy enough as it is. Can you tell me what's in the collector's edition?
Some custom, and this is off the top of my head, some custom in-game skins, some dice skins that you apparently you roll dice in the game. I haven't played it yet.
You do. I've seen some footage of it.
You do. Like it when it comes up with a skill test, it digitally rolls the dice for you on screen. Okay. It's got a nice little
rattle,
nice little wooden cup, wooden/leather cup dice rattle. Very pretty.
It sounds very D&D Beyond, because you can do the same thing on that. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So there's a collector's like digital skin for your dice. There's a few in-game other digital downloads. I think there might even be a pet that follows you around, but I'm not 100% sure because I might be mixing it up.
I've got it. Let me tell you what's in it. The collector's edition was a 160-page art book, 32 stickers, a game certificate.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Wait for it. A game code. All the digital content. Yep. It's actually looks pretty fucking cool. You got the
Mind
box that came
amazing.
in. You got a Magic the Gathering Baldur's Gate booster packs, an oversized metal D20, a cloth map, origin character sheets, a tadpole keyring, and a 25 centimeter high Mind Flayer versus Drow battle diorama, which does look fucking spectacular.
Ooh.
Epic. Yeah, the statue is what it's about, right?
Yep.
But they're selling it. They were selling it online for $295. They only manufactured 15,000 of these things.
Sure.
They sold out 2 months ago, so actually quite late in the game, really.
Yeah.
But you could never buy it from Australia. Like even if you went to the larrikins site in the US, you couldn't order it to be shipped to Australia because they didn't have shipping partners. But yeah, I think the highest I've seen it online is $1,500 for people are selling the fucking dice skin for $300. So they're buying the box and cutting it up into individual items and selling them off. It's crazy.
Who's more of the fool? The fool follows.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not paying $1,500 for the fucking statue. That's for sure. These days, I'll wait until someone 3D scans it and then just buy a 3D print because physical piracy
then you get
for the
to
win.
paint it yourself. Have a fun afternoon.
I put all this stuff down as a enormous win for Larian. If people are going that far out of their way to buy this 1,500 release, how many did you say? 1,500 were the made and released?
15,000.
15,000. If they get that's a pretty big number, but it has had almost close to 1 million users on players on Steam at the highest peak. So, I mean, that's just Steam. That's before we even hit consoles and that. So they're going to hit 1.5 to 2 million players once they get it across the console. So to have people wanting to, one, for there to be a market to sell them for that much, and two, for them to have juggled all of that with, and it sounds like a pretty good box set, minus there's no physical game in the box.
Yeah. The statue is pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
I was very impressed.
Yep. Cool.
I'll jump in here, Peter, because you told me to before. We have
like
some
a well-oiled machine.
That's me. I am definitely well-oiled. So there are some new
grease me up, woman.
Yeah. And he feels like many men apparently as well. You missed that little party.
Many men in tights. So there's some new PS Plus titles if you're looking for something new to play. Sea of Stars, Destiny 2 expansion, The Witch Queen. Don't do it. Don't get sucked into it. It'll take over your life. Lost Judgment and moving out to Lost Judgment was that? That was a
it's a Yakuza one, isn't it?
Yakuza, yeah, one of the Yakuza games. I think it's one of the spin-offs.
So. Yeah. And what's Sea of Stars?
Sea of Stars, see.
Nobody knows.
I'm not opening a second window.
I've got it. It's a turn-based RPG inspired by classics. It looks like a JRPG.
Okay.
Retro inspired. Yes. There we go.
Actually, reminds me of
actually,
the
I would
original
say
ASCII Zelda games.
Yeah, it looks like the original Final Fantasy. Those kind of like isometric top-down.
Oh
Yeah.
Cool.
It makes me reminisce for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands because the overland map between zones is very much like that.
Yeah. So next, by this time next week, it'll be out. Gamescom is on this week in Germany, August 23rd, Australia time. So it'll be 22nd and 23rd over there. It runs over 2 days. There's 5 main showcases. Most of them will. Well, I just found out this episode will be long out. Won't be out by the time this news is, so it's kind of irrelevant. But anyway, if you haven't watched it yet, go watch the Gamescom stuff. You might see some stuff that interests you. Yeah, it's 5 main showcases.
Some people only get their video games and movie news from our podcast, I'm sure.
You poor suckers.
I was thinking that Gamescom coverage could be a good one for you guys to cover in an upload.
Yeah?
Yes, we will. Don't you worry. Oh, yes. It was it's old mate Jeff Keighley, the guy who's, I'm sure he's probably nice, but you just want to punch him in the face. So
I'm sure people say that about all three of us at various stages of our lives.
Oh, every day someone says that about me. and I welcome it. Bring it on. Yeah, so he's doing the opening night live. There was a indie showcase. There was the Future Games showcase is the one I'm most interested in. It was showcasing something upwards of like 50 games that are coming out over the next little while. And then there were two other ones which I did not commit to memory because they didn't really interest me. One's coming back. It was the Infinite one, but that looked like it was dealing with that AC Jade mobile game that's coming out. So I went, no, thank you.
Next.
And then the other one, it's gone. It's never coming back. Don't even ask me about it. So yes, they'll all be watchable, I'm sure, on YouTube in the day after they come out because I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. to watch them. That's silliness. That is absolute silliness. I thought this one would interest you guys, but Peter Dinklage has revealed he's going to be starring in the new Toxic Avenger film as the Toxic Avenger. So he's going to be wielding the mop. As they said, so there's some show that he's going to be revealing that out in the coming days. I'm sure it'll appear online and we'll all have a watch at it. But they decided to remake Toxic Avenger. There you go,
with Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage.
So if I saw this in the news, and it always comes into my head whenever I see his name anywhere. Is 2 YouTube clips for anybody to go and watch. Is Peter Dinklage Saturday Night Live Space Pants. If you haven't watched him sing Space Pants with Gwen Stefani, go and fucking watch it because it's absolutely hilarious. And I usually don't go in for real dumb, stupid comedy, but this is one that just gets me all the time.
Every time. Yep.
And it's just, it gets in my head constantly. And the other one is to go and watch the intro for Game of Thrones being sung only with Peter Dinklage's name as the tune, and it's Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage. It's fantastic. It's just fucking hilarious, and it just goes on and on and on. And the person that did it
never stops.
It's
there you go.
Two stupid little things to go and watch for a laugh.
Amongst the infinite number of stupid things that are on YouTube, yes. But hey, go sort them out. I didn't put this in trailer trash because the trailer really is only 30 seconds long. But they have finally announced they are officially making the TMNT Last Ronin game. There's a cinematic teaser, which is the 4 candles being blown out, signifying
great trailer.
Great little trailer, yeah. So it's just, it's signifying the ways that the 3 brothers died, and then you're left with one last turtle who becomes the last Ronin. And then, the concept art at the end showed obviously his kind of build and how he's going to look in the game, and then some of the
Foot Clan robots.
Yeah, Foot Clan robots. So it's only 30 to 40 seconds long, but it's cool. I'm excited for that.
If they don't incorporate the Arkham style combat into this, they've absolutely missed a
big
fucking
miss.
beat.
Yeah,
it's a massive miss if they don't take that mechanic.
Oh, I imagine they would. Like,
you would imagine they would, unless they just get too uppity and don't want to copy something else. When
it just becomes a side-scrolling beat 'em up. Like,
yeah.
And the last bit of news that I forgot to type up, but I saw it in there anyway. There was a bit of interesting that Santa Monica Studios are looking for a new combat designer, and the interesting thing about this role for an unannounced game. But they had to have intimate knowledge of the combat in God of War 1 and God of War Ragnarok. So is a new God of War is that's kind of confirming a new God of War is coming. And look, I hope so.
They did talk about a trilogy for some time, so
and
they need to stop after that though.
Everybody's talking Egypt because there was giveaways in Agraboda's paintings in the I walked around and looked at all them that there was no comments on, and I'm like, ooh, I recognize that. And so there was bits and pieces.
Some hieroglyphs, wasn't
there? There was actual figurine depictions of gods and characters from Egyptian mythology. So it was quite interesting to see bits and pieces show up there. So, but
and I imagine,
between the Stargate movies and the Fifth Element movies, we're all fucking experts on hieroglyphs too.
Yep.
Also,
Aziz Light.
And The Mummy, don't forget. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Cinematic masterpiece that is. Now, Dan, tell us about your beer. End of the news. Come on.
It's okay. So it's the thiolized dipper. So it's got the thiol powder. Thiol, is it thiol?
Thiol?
Yeah, for Phantasm that got released, I don't know, 6 to 12 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives it a different level of hop character. I'm still not sure. This is now like the fourth one I've had from different breweries that have had it. And I think I've had 2 garage projects. I had that one I fucking hated that I sent to the group chat that was just like, man, it was like sweaty balls. It was absolutely fucking horrible. It was just body sweat on body sweat on body sweat. It just had this gross and so pungent as well. It wasn't a pleasant boost of hop character. It just was so pungent and just I if that came out of my brewery, I wouldn't even release it. Like that was it was horrid. I sink poured it. I did jump on Untapped and have a look at what everybody else rated it, and I'm obviously the outlier because so many people from Gabs and that were giving it 4 stars. 4 stars plus.
Never trust a Gabs review. that is 18 beers deep and trying to impress a brewer.
It just it was horrible. This one, along with the Garage Project one, I think are very well structured. I think they've got a lot of complexity to the hop character. I do feel, I don't know whether it's something that I'll get used to in the future after more of these that I have. I don't know if the Phantasm is going to be something that is going to have to be put into all dippers and hazies and neepers going forward to be able to play in the market with the people at top of the game.
Right.
I hope it's not, because that other one that obviously I tried, I would name and shame this brewery if I could even remember what brewery it was. But
you'd have no scruples.
I'm not sure. Well, because it was such an overpowering thing, and I think it's also one of those ones. If people are interested, and if they listen to this show for that reason, I'm sure they don't. I'm sure there's other beer podcasts out there that actually focus a lot more in on several different styles of beer, but I'm sure there are some people out there listening.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be something that people are trying multiples of and not
making up their mind.
And not making up the mind, and the customers need to be directing the industry on this one, I feel. I think there's going to be several breweries that are able to do it really well. Garage Project, One Drop obviously do this one very well. But I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to put it in there for the wrong reason, and it's not going to hit the mark, and it's going to hurt. 1, it's going to hurt the industry. 2, it's going to hurt the brewery. So I'm really interested to see how this plays out, this Phantasm, in the next 12 months kind of thing, and how it affects beer styles. This is really well structured and layered. It's got a whole bunch of hops in them, mostly New Zealand hops, actually. Other than Citra, was all New Zealand hops. It does have some of that Nelson sort of New Zealand-y hop funk to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really complex and really differently structured. I do like it. I don't think I would go for a second one.
Okay.
But I do like it. I'm glad I tried this one from One Drop, because they are exceptional brewers. Yes, I'm glad I tried it, and I'm gonna give them a 3.75 because I think it's a very well structured product, and I am enjoying it. But I think this Phantasm still needs some work to it. I still think it needs to find its place.
Some development and growth.
Yeah. And
it's a big healthy 8% too.
Yeah, it is 8%. I think the way we are at the moment within the industry, where this new thing comes out and there's really not that much R&D time within the breweries and at a small scale to make these things work properly. I think it's a risk.
So you think it's a rush to market, basically?
I think it's a risk. Yeah, I think it's a rush to market risk to get on top of and capitalize on the quotation beer nerd interest in this Phantasm getting into them. So
Because I was just actually trying to think about. I don't know if I'm sure they do, but I don't even know if One Drop have like a little pilot system they would test this on. I think it would just go straight into their big boys.
Mm.
But it was interesting. I just like, as you were saying that, like thinking about breweries that would be using that and like going forward. I just checked on, like, I tried to do a search for, like, I searched Mountain Culture Thiolized to see if it would come up. None of their beers seem to have used it. You think they'd also would have been on it? Like maybe they, I don't know.
They're the ones that I hope they don't, because I think their structure and what they've got going in their products that they release, they've got it so dialed in that I think throwing something like this into the mix just for the sake of throwing something like this into the mix, I have absolutely no doubt they will do it, but I just hope they don't try and incorporate it into long-standing things. And if they are going to do it in long-standing things, they need to spend it. They could currently be doing it, I don't know. But they need to spend the time in getting it right and moving forward with it, because I think it's interesting. I think it is. I think it's definitely it's 100% a watch this space, because it could go either way.
Yeah, interesting.
That's why I needed 20 minutes
time
to sit there and process it. Yeah.
We're going to move into second beers now, so you might need to. No. Yeah, that's fine. You might need to catch up.
I'll join with the
break.
Well, Peter, what do you got?
I'm really struggling with mine, to be honest. So this is the Zythologist Bromium. So Zythologist.
That is a terrible fucking label.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to read even
and
in
person. And it's like baby poo brown.
Black on brown. So the brewery is called Zythologist. I've not heard of them before, but they did have a Gabs beer released. I did notice that. I didn't buy the Gabs beer. This is a 4.1% English brown ale.
Hang on.
It's a 375ml can, and it costs $20.
Oh shit! Sorry.
And I'm like, is it gonna blow me afterwards? Like what? Like I expect to pay $20 for a 8, 9, 10% beer, but for 4%, there's something wrong, right?
Where's it from?
I know who Zythologists are. I knew that it rang a bell.
Brewed with science is their catchphrase.
They're 3 scientists, and they from Melbourne. They started the brew lab at Monash University.
Right. Well, all of their beers, and there were 6 at Cuddy Cellars yesterday. 6 different varieties. They all use periodic table naming and labeling.
Yeah.
And they were all $20 a can.
Dude, those 3 scientists needs to be 3 scientists, like 3 men and a baby. There needs to be 3 scientists and a business
accountant
person. Yeah, an accountant. There we go. 3 scientists and an accountant, because that's not fucking on.
Yeah, I bought it out of sheer interest, to be honest with you, as to what the fuck I get for $20 in a 375ml 4.1% beer. And the answer is not a great beer, unfortunately. It's not terrible, but it's not great either.
They're engineering graduates with the 3
so they're uni students. That's what I'm hearing. I'm suddenly hearing uni students.
They were uni students. They've graduated and
okay. Look, the beer. You can taste the malt bill is what you're paying for. They've used 7 different malts apparently, and then there's a whole spiel on the.
Still wouldn't put it that much though. Like
still and there's a big spiel on the side of the can about the Maillard process of darkening when you mix an amino acid and sugar and heat and darkens and enhances flavors
during the boil.
Yeah. So you get the whole big spiel, but look, I get bread. I get. Like on the nose, it's almost weird. Like it doesn't smell like beer. It's very watered down chocolate on the nose, which is not pleasant. It's got just an oddness to it.
Didn't water down your chocolate.
Yeah.
Do you put chocolate in the fridge?
Sometimes it loosens the flavor.
No,
you get a lot less chocolate flavors.
Absolutely not.
Some people do.
In terms of flavor, you certainly get bread malt, you get chocolate, you get a little bit of coffee. It's almost overpowering. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not going to sink pour it. It's not quite that bad, but it tastes a bit
also just don't
odd.
don't fuck with the brown ale. Like
It just
brown ale's
tastes
sacred.
odd. Yeah, I don't get it. And for $20, like it's not
That's
hitting
a
the mark
fucking
for
rip.
$20.
Pete,
Yeah.
does it tell you what malts are used in it on the can?
No,
No? Okay. And it just says seven different malts, does it?
it does.
Okay. And what is bromium?
Bromium is the brown stuff they put on you. It's a antiseptic they put on you before surgery, isn't it? Isn't that
It's
bromium?
just what you want your fucking beer to be named after. Good job.
Isn't that what? I don't know. I'm making that up. So it sounded convincing, right?
Isn't that just iodine?
Yeah,
Wait,
I think you're
Pete,
right.
hang on.
Bromium is.
So how much? Sorry,
bromine?
you paid $20 for that can?
I did.
Oh, you got ripped off, bud.
Bromium
looked it
is
up.
okay. Bromium's not actually a fucking element, so I don't know what the hell the story is here.
Okay.
I just looked up on a different website, and
Right.
it's coming up as $6 a can.
No,
Cool.
are you kidding? I've still got the receipt. I'll go back to Cuddy, and I've already named them, so I can't unname them now.
You can beat.
Several sites. Yeah, it's about $7 a can. So I think they must have rung that up wrong.
I will go back then. That's fucking bullshit.
Maybe they rang you up a 4-pack instead of maybe the barcode.
No. It was on the price tag under the beer.
Phew.
Yeah, they've fucked that up.
Wow, that's a 400% markup.
Yeah.
500% markup.
And bromine is the chemical element that it's a reference to. It's a volatile red-brown liquid at room temperature. Its properties are intermediate between those of chlorine and iodine.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
Still something you want to name your beer after.
Yeah. Anyway, Tom, what are you drinking? Something less toxic and...
Bromium, brown ale, BR. Yep,
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Well done.
Welcome to the party, Tom. Welcome to the party.
Hey, I was looking up the cost. I was being their
Yes, he
accountant
was.
for
He
them.
was.
Yeah. I am drinking I had a damn missed it, but I had a lovely Pilsner before. I'm sticking with the Pilsner theme. I'm having a black Italian Pils
Ooh.
from New England.
From New England, okay.
Yeah, it's called Marmo. I can take this all in if you want, Pete. It is 4.5%. And God bless New England Brewing for still being one of the few breweries to religiously add the IBU to their label. It's 29 IBU for those playing at home. Jesus Christ, it's small text though. Let's turn and look in the light. We're all for winter styles in our damned cold small town. It's very cold in Uralla if you haven't been. Beautiful part of the world though. Something last year wasn't going to do it. So we've delivered a black version of our Italian Pils. Big herby aromas, tease out hints of crusty dark bread and roasted malts delivered in a brilliant dark pour with balanced bitterness. And look, it is black. It's black as the night. That is a cold night. It is, yeah, and it's literally just it's like a really good, like they said, dark crusty bread. Like that's what's coming through the first sip. Yes, Dan, what do you want?
That is a beer can description. That is what they should all read like. 4 or 5 lines that give you a direct interpretation of what the liquid is in the can.
Yeah. And
it's even better when the liquid lives up to
matches
being
up to matches the thing. Yeah. That's really really cool. I walked into the Union the other day and it was just sitting there and I was like, I haven't had New England beer in forever. I love those guys. Definitely gonna grab it. It's fantastic. Like it's it's got that slight, like you get more of that breadiness from like the Italian Pilsners compared to like a really crisp one. This kind of feels like that with like it's definitely on that like Schwartz beer kind of spectrum. Exactly, that was what I was looking for. Thank you. I would happily go back and buy the remaining stock of that and just sit on that for. That's fantastic. This is great.
Nice.
It'd also be one of those really. I'd love to have this by a roaring fire, even like not like a fire. It doesn't have to be a fireplace, outdoor fire. That'd just go so well, and just some snacky stuff to go with it. That's fantastic. 5 fucking stars.
5 fucking stars.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't give my last one a rating either. I'm going to give it a 3.
Yeah.
Which is a low score for us.
It's a middle ground.
Yeah, we're pretty forgiving.
Yeah, that is very forgiving.
Yeah. So, Danny, you're going to have a second beer or
Yeah.
you're skipping it?
I'll skip the second
Okay.
and hit the third.
Okay. All right. On to some mini reviews, I think.
Oh, that just gets better.
I haven't watched anything. I haven't played anything. I haven't watched anything. I have been catching up on all the shit that you guys suggested last episode, actually. That's what I've been watching.
Well, I had originally two weeks off, so I actually did watch some things. And let me talk about one of them.
Regale us with a story, Tom.
I will.
I'm going to sit back for a second.
I'm going to do these in reverse order. Sorry, Pete. So you might want to, I don't know, switch them out. Black Adam. Look.
Toilet.
Several parts of it, yes, definitely toilet. I thought I gave a pretty detailed review in the chat when I talked about it. It was just so confusing in parts. Like, I obviously shat on Aquaman, and I thought it was written by a 12-year-old boy who was confused to whether or not he wanted to be Momoa or he was suddenly romantically in love with him. That was just a confusing thing. Black Adam was all the way through it. You could it oozed the Rock's ego. And I know you can't bleed a stone, but dear Christ, was this a wet rock that his juices were all over it. And I know that's brought horrible images to people's minds, and I do not apologize because I've had to see that fucking film. It was just, there were some certain points the CG wasn't that good.
No, it wasn't.
Where you needed it to kind of be. And also in places where it was so minor that it shouldn't have mattered, but it really threw me out. Because have you seen it, Pete?
Mm.
Yeah. You know that... Don't start it. Don't. I can see it. Sit back. You sit back. The bit that really threw me out, and it was very early on in the film, is when they're driving the van to the archaeological site.
Mm.
And they're coming up this mountain, and for some reason, the whole shot looked like it was CG.
Yeah.
But it was N64 level graphics. It was it just looks so fake and bad.
Yeah.
It's I'm sure you could find a dirt road to drive up and put the green screeny stuff behind it for the massive dig site that they'd put behind it. And then just obviously took inspiration from the Gun Guardians films that every superhero film has done now and needed to add that soundtracky bit where they got a licensed song in. So there's this the Black Adam wakes up and does his Black Adam-y thing and he's killing all these mercs to paint it black.
Mm.
But it was so jarring compared to exactly. That was the exact face I made when
that is
when
tacky.
It was out of place and butchered to
but
boot.
it just really it was like the shepherd's crook going across your neck. You were pulled into a different cinema to watch that scene and then thrown back in afterwards. The weird obsession with the skateboarding kid. Don't get me started. That was weird.
But the heroes in that movie are so just...
Hawkman was the worst fucking leader I've ever seen on a team. And I know it was trying to make a funny bit about him going to the Atom and being you and me, when this is over, we're going to have a talk. It's it's his first fucking mission. You've made this whole thing about how you just recruited these fresh two agents to your thing under Amanda Waller, and then you're I'm going to beat the living shit out of you because you keep fucking up. And it's well, maybe if you trained him properly instead of just throwing him in against this superpowered threat.
But there was no chemistry. There was no lead up to those characters.
None.
There was the acting was B grade at best.
Pierce Brosnan, that was literally the main reason I watched it was Pierce Brosnan. I wanted to see him as Dr. Fate. And it was cool, but he seemed to just use the one thing, whereas he multiple manned himself. He just cloned himself and tried to hold down the Rock, and then the Rock,
which we've already seen with Doctor Strange. We didn't need to see it again.
Yeah, it was poorly done. The weird love chemistry between the Tornado and the Atom went nowhere. It was suddenly he was this is obviously the romance they're building up because Black Adam isn't gonna try and fuck the kid's mum.
It's Adam Smasher too, isn't it?
Adam Smasher, yeah. And then
Superman plays Adam. Everyone knows that.
Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
Brandon Routh, Superman. Yeah, and then actually, that's very good that you said that because the best thing about the whole film is the little teaser at the end that went nowhere
because they couldn't get the rights to fight
Henry
Superman.
Cavill walks out in his Superman to John Williams' theme. That was the best part of the entire fucking film, and it was a 30-second little thing at the end.
Yep. Yep, and I said that to you guys when I first saw it. That it gave me.
They gave Cavill the curl.
Yes,
Cavill had the curl. That was the best fucking thing. Go watch it on YouTube. That is the only part of the movie you need to see.
It gave me fucking shivers. I kind of fogged up a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah,
and I said that to you guys.
I went back and watched it like 3 times. I was like, I'm going to skip back. I was like, was that the curl or was that a shadow? Went back. It's a fucking curl.
Nice.
Yeah, Superman curl. Look, just for something that was meant to shake up the DC universe.
It was just a massive rock jerk off.
It was the shake up, all right. Like fucking just having a massive old wank on himself. And that's what I felt like after. I felt sticky. I felt dirty. I went out of shower. Like, this is gross.
So was not the whole thing where it was like I was bashing the rock in one episode? Was this not in the lead up to?
That was like just before it came out, I think.
That was the artwork was you as Kratos killing the rock. Yes.
Yeah.
It was just like, I don't know.
But I saw it when
there's so many
first,
parts of that film that just like, I
was
really
just a
hated
fucking miss.
Hawkman. It really made me hate the Hawkman character. Like, don't
But
get
he
me wrong.
looked cool.
He looked very cool.
But
he was just useless. He was a very ineffective leader.
The most impressive visual effect was The Rock as a scrawny dude when he's back in ancient Egypt.
No, that fucking threw me for a loop. I hated that. It was so because they didn't shrink his head at all.
Yeah, it kind of went uncanny valley, didn't it?
Oh no, really? They didn't shrink his head. They didn't Chris Evans it. They just rocked it.
No. It was literally like, you don't have one. I thought it might be on the shelf behind you. I thought you'd have a bobblehead. It literally was bobblehead. It just looked weird. I hated that.
It was more seamless.
So there's 2 things I'm going to watch from Black Adam is that scene and a Superman scene, and that's all I'm going to watch.
Yeah.
Again, YouTube it saves. Like, I don't like it. I didn't pay for it, but it was. That was the.
I rented it.
Yep. It was
rented it at full price.
I don't remember. I probably did, to be honest, because it was shortly after it was released.
I think it was just after it came out. Yeah, it would have been full price. But that was it.
I like to wait and admit my stupidity on podcasts. That's my shtick.
Yeah, it was just a horribly confusing mess. Like, I don't know how, but I don't know how The Rock sat there at the end of filming that and looked at it and went,
how great he was.
I'm sure he loved his own scene. Well, the ego for the rest of it, like the bits he wasn't in. I don't know how he looked at that and went, "We've nailed it."
But the thing with narcissists is they can't see their own flaws.
Oh, he definitely bullied that director.
It's a blind spot.
He definitely bullied that director. Like, I don't know if you looked up who the director, what he's done. He's done a bunch of horror stuff.
By the way, Tom said bullied there, not blue.
Yeah, I heard it. I misheard it too until he repeated himself.
Yeah, I mean,
might have done either. Either might have gotten him what he wanted. Yeah.
Maybe they did a little freestanding 69. You never know. But there's your episode artwork. Just
no, it's really not. And that's how we got cancelled.
That's how we got sued. Yeah.
Come on, Dan, we're ready to fight the Rock. But that looked up the director what he'd done because I was very curious, and he'd done a bunch of like horror stuff, and then to do this, it was a horror. It was a horrible mess.
A very different kind of horror.
But anyway, just YouTube those 2 things. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But not standing 69.
I mean,
don't even type that into Google. I don't even want to know.
I'll never forget.
Do that in incognito mode. It also won't be on YouTube, but be on a different tube. Yes. Anyway, let's go on to a better film.
Yeah, please take us on to something more positive.
Air was great. It was very well acted. So for those who haven't seen or heard about this film, it's on Amazon Prime. It is.
We talked about it.
I think we did the trailer for it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So it's Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, a bunch of others. And it's all about Viola Davis, who was Waller. She's very good in it. Matt Damon's fantastic. I very much enjoyed his acting in this. But it's all about the creation of the Air Jordan, the shoe, based around Michael Jordan and how Nike before, in the late 80s, I think it's set. Yeah. In the 80s, or early 90s, they were really struggling.
Yeah.
They were really struggling as a shoe company to get into the basketball shoe market in America. So they break it down that Converse had all the deals, and then it went to Adidas.
Really?
And then Nike had the rest of the share. The only and it's very well done. Soundtrack's fantastic. The soundtrack's amazing. It's just late 80s and 90s, early 90s, like good music. And the cast does a wonderful job. Jason Bateman's the other big one in it. So there's a lot of time between him and Matt Damon. They beautiful chemistry together as well. The shoe designer in the cellar in the basement is I've seen him in stuff before. I couldn't quite pick him. I'll have to remember who he is, or someone's look it up. But he played the wonderful weirdo cellar dwelling genius very, very well. And it goes through. It's like how they finally signed Jordan, all this kind of stuff. But at the end of it, it really just felt like a bit of an ad for Amazon to sell Air Jordan shoes. That's kind of where it went to.
But how could it not have?
Yeah, well, because it's an Amazon Studios production, and it was just like, hey, we've got excess stock of Jordans in the warehouse. Can we make a film? I'm like, it's a good story. Like the way they went through it was really cool.
It was based on a true story, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the best thing about it is the guy that Matt Damon plays, he was the talent scout. So the whole thing was the company will go and they will get some fresh talent, someone who's just been drafted into the sport, and they will get them a deal, and then they will wear their shoes, and then the kids will buy them. But the best bit's at the end when it talks about his legacy. And for years and years and years, college kids never got paid for anything. Use their likenesses in games, all that kind of stuff. So they were essentially just they were marketed without any recompense, whatever. But he was a big part of the lawsuit that changed that, which is really cool because it finally got them paid.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know what pisses me off about this review, Tom?
What?
I've been looking for something to watch, and I went to Apple TV's Watch Next, which is supposed to summarize. It certainly has links into all of the other apps you've installed on your Apple TV. Right. So if you're halfway through an episode of what am I watching at the moment?
Foundation.
Well, that's Apple TV native, so that doesn't count. But I'm halfway through a Star Wars Rebels episode, and it appears in the Watch Next section of Apple TV.
Okay.
And I'm halfway through an episode of True Detective, which is on Amazon Prime, and it shows up as well. But you got to watch Next, and this didn't come up because Apple TV aren't fucking selling it. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is a big Amazon project. Is that why?
No, it's just Apple TV's. It makes it appear that it's summarizing all the new content available from all of your other apps like Netflix and Amazon Prime and etc. But it's actually only summarizing shit you're halfway through or the next episode for something you're in the middle of.
Sure.
And it's only pitching net new material that they're selling you, which is fucking frustrating because I've been 2 days. I've been looking for something to watch, and I would have watched this for sure.
Yeah,
been looking forward to it.
Should have told you I watched it, but yeah, it's very, very good, very well acted.
They're all stars, right?
They are all stars.
I do like how Ben Affleck on the cover looks a little bit like
pardon the pun, all stars. Jeez.
Yeah,
Converse.
Yeah.
This feels like we're about to dive into a Wayne's World moment. Yes, Converse, the all-star, the taste of a new generation.
Looks a bit like Ali G. Sacha Cohen. What's his name?
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Thank you.
Yes, no, he's donned because he's Nike in the 90s were all about the running market, so he's in his jogging gear.
Yeah, yeah, he looks terrible.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's bad, but yeah, it's kind of it was really good to. It's always nice when you see those two together again. Just like the boys are back. Yeah,
that's it.
I agree.
Yes, and it's very funny seeing because usually you'd say Matt Damon's the more calm one in that. It's like that duo, but in this film. In this film, it's definitely Affleck plays like he's the head of the company, the CEO, and he's like right into his guru thing, and Matt Damon's just the jaded guy on the road, and he's just like constantly just like, when are you gonna drop the guru shit on me? Like, what did the Dalai Lama say this time? And then he's just like, there it is, fuck you, like, and walks out. Like,
I don't know. He was definitely the more zany of the two in Dogma. He was the one that was just constantly wanted to kill everyone when he was playing Loki.
Yes.
Anyway.
But yeah, yes, very much so.
Another reference to something we'll talk about later.
Yeah, go check it out. It's. I think it was 2 hours, just about 2 hours. Yeah,
it is.
It's good.
Yeah, just under. Yeah,
good film.
Yeah,
nice.
I'll watch it.
Dan saw Sonic on TV.
I did
see something.
I did see something that hasn't been spoken about before. Oh, it has been spoken about before.
Oh, it's been spoken about.
Okay, right here. So this is my take on it. Super Mario movie. I agree with Tom. I think this was one of the best things. Not only was it adapted from something, it is undoubtedly the best video game movie ever made, without a question.
Yes.
It's probably going to be the best video game movie or anything adapted from that media into visual TV movies for probably a good length of time. And there was not one thing I disliked about it. And it was incredibly well written, incredibly well animated, very well voice acted. A couple of the voice actors threw me out a little bit. It's
fun.
It's fun. It's well paced. It's just it just pulls everything in, and the
soundtrack is a masterclass.
The soundtrack is an absolute masterpiece. So I'm not going to go on about it because most people have seen it. My one little thing that I do want to point out that really blew me away, that really at this point, 3/4 of the way through the movie, and if I wasn't invested by then, I was 100% invested by that.
It's going to be Jack Black's song?
No. As soon as I realized there was going to be a fucking Mario Kart battle, I was like, right.
Fucking hell, they nailed it.
Let's strap in for this. And they could have done this. So this is going to be spoilers here for the Super Mario movie. I'm sure most people listening have seen it. I was a very long outlier. So they could have done it. And I said to Louise, I had to stop.
For those who haven't seen it, what did you watch it on?
We rented it on Amazon Prime.
Yes. It's currently available to rent for $2.99 on Apple TV. I think
it's because it's coming out on Peacock, so it should be on Stan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's coming to Stan for free very soon. Yes.
I think it was like $6 for the ultra high def on Amazon Prime. So when we got to about three-quarters of the way through the Mario Kart battle on their way to the third act, the end of the third act. Sorry, start of the third act. And I was talking to Louise at the end of the Mario Kart battle saying they could have done that a very different way. They pulled so many elements from the Mario Kart games where they could have just had somebody pop colored boxes out of the road and hit the box and you get a power up and then you throw the power up. The same way as they did the question marks and you had to eat the mushroom or you touch the flower or the raccoon suit or whatever to get that power up. But they didn't. They chose a beautiful, incredibly creative way to introduce all of those power-ups and that you get in Mario Kart in fun and different ways, and not just the cheap way of popping a box. When I saw the blue shell destruction cart coming through everything, even before, once again, spoilers, skip ahead 30 seconds to a minute, if they hadn't have had the turtle go absolute kamikaze at the end and gone blue shell and wings and shot out and blown up the road, I would have been happy with the representation of the blue shell as the demolition cart coming through, like just powering through everybody all the way up the front. I thought that was a really incredibly creative way of
portraying that power
up. And then you get a split second of Mario before we get to the end of the blue shell where he jumps into a cart that's got a Koopa in it and it hits him. The Koopa goes in the shell and then he picks the green shell up and aims it and throws it at another cart. And the cannons are firing green shells. And it was just, it just wasn't a cheesy, oh yeah, I know that from the game, run through a colored box to pop up and you get a thing. But then you go to the start of that scene and the way that they had them pick the style of cart, like rolling the little teledex thing to pick the elements of the cart and the gorillas to put them all together and the soundtrack that came with it. I forget the song that played then, but it was just it was so well done, and that whole Donkey Kong to the start of the third act, the start of the big fight with Bowser, that was by far my favorite point of the movie. Like I thought it was so incredibly creative and well written and just well played out. And I just hats off to Seth Rogen too for like nailing Donkey Kong too. he wouldn't have been the one that I'd picked, but it was he
especially when he just had
job.
the Seth Rogen laugh at one point. You're just like, there he is.
Yeah. I thought it was great. And I'm not going to go any more about it because it's just something that you would watch, but I do think it plays into our spotlight later on.
Yep. Okay.
I've got a little fun fact for those playing at home that if you actually break down the Peaches song that Bowser sings, and Jack Black performs beautifully,
it's incredible.
Do you want to know what it has the same tonal structure as?
What?
Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up.
I watched a,
which is probably why it's such an earworm.
Yeah.
I watched that guy that we've talked about in the WhatsApp channel.
Yeah.
Break it down, and like Jack Black's fucking tonal range is amazing in that song.
Jack Black's come a long way since that first Tenacious D album. He's done a lot of voice coaching.
Oh, yeah. The beautiful little moment after he's singing that song for the first time, and he says to the wizard, "Come and do a duet with me."
Let's jam, and he plays the underworld thing.
So good, good.
The soundtrack is by Tyler Bates.
Yes.
It is on Spotify.
I remember you saying that.
It has had several listens by Tom all the way through.
And he is such a. I said this last time you said it was Tyler Bates. He is such an off-the-wall character. Like, he was lead guitar for Marilyn Manson for a while, and he did the 300 soundtrack. He's worked with Zack Snyder. It's like he's just got this massive range
everywhere.
of music. Yeah.
Speaking of soundtracks, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 a couple of days ago, and I've got to say the soundtrack for that was much better, in my opinion, than the second movie. The first movie was brilliant. The score, the
actual score, as opposed to the mixtape.
No, the mixtape. Sorry,
mixtape.
I found the mixtape Volume 1 was excellent. Volume 2 was meh. Volume 3 was great. I
really liked Volume 2. I especially like my favorite scene in that is definitely still the in a little cafe with the whistle going through the spaceship. That's because it's just the music just does. It shouldn't suit that scene, but it does.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, James Gunn.
Overall, I found the movie okay. I
fucking teared up like a bitch. Like, Jesus Christ, that movie made me cry.
It didn't hit me the way that I thought it was going to. You're a soulless
character, aren't you? Jesus.
Well, I am, but no, I think I'm maybe just a bit over those types of movies now. I'm just getting a bit like I've seen it all. Like it was kind of predictable. The whole emotional turmoil. Just the boy who cried wolf ran strongly through the whole movie. Oh my God, blah 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 is dead. Oh no, it's okay. They're not really dead. Oh, blah 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 is dead. Oh, only kidding. Not really dead. Like all the way through the movie, pretty much every main character gets it, except they don't die. Like even that last scene, and I don't want to spoil it because I know Dan hasn't seen it.
I don't care, man. I'm not going to watch it. I don't give a flying fuck about any of that shit anymore.
But that fair enough. But Peter Quill dying in space, his face blows up. He turns to ice. He should have shattered on impact when they rescued him. Like his face actually just distorts and blows out.
Yeah,
right. He's dead. So for them to just bring him back after watching, who else dies? Groot dies. Drax dies. Or Drax gets
Rocket's
shot.
Dying half the film.
Yeah. Drax gets shot in the chest, and then like he's actually damaged. You can see blood. He's wounded. He picks himself back up slowly, and then gets shot in the back and just drops like a slab of meat. And I was like, holy fuck! Did they just kill Drax? But no, he's completely fine.
Which I think was just James Gunn just going like, it's the third film. Like, was it him trying to like play that thing of like, who's going to survive? Like, you got to kill a character off in the third film. And then he
get
just goes,
fucked. I understand what you're saying, but
I'll just get fucked then.
But to have like 4 or 5 of the main characters pretend die, it got really piss weak by the end of it.
So they're not kill anybody in the end?
No.
Not a single one.
Weak. fucking
Not a
weak.
single one.
Weak,
But
weak constitution.
I'm not saying it's not
fucking-
weak, but I actually think that might have been that was the intention was behind to turn that whole third film on its head thing. I think James Gunn would have been doing something like James Gunny, like it's funny to him to do.
You know
like
what?
that.
I'm fucking
Not
glad
that
I
he gives a
didn't-
fuck.
I'm
'cause he's
glad I
moved
didn't
on.
watch it now because that would have you would have had a 30-minute rant of me just going, that is an absolute piece of shit and a waste of time because they have no balls to follow through with anything. We're breaking. I'm done.
Okay,
Okay, that's one view.
And now Adam Warlock's a part of the Guardians. Like they didn't split the band up.
Part of the Guardians.
I know, but in the movie continuity, they broke the band up. Like everybody's gone their separate ways, except a few of them. So
their separate ways.
But they're not dead.
It's because
so.
any other fucking writer can't bring these fuckers back together because nobody's got any balls to write anybody out.
Yeah,
because they haven't been doing that in comic books for the last how many decades?
Yeah, they definitely have because there's a difference here because this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe should be doing something different that is trying to drive people to keep coming back and introducing new characters because your actors are going to outgrow and want to leave. Like Chris Evans, I'm done with Captain America. Like I'm done. Like I need to go and do something else. You can't go, oh yeah, no, I killed him.
You can't play it forever.
You can't play it
whereas
forever.
Superman's been in comics since the 20s.
And that's exactly it. And so and Batman, like you can do these, for the lack of a better term, fake outs and partial reboots and everything ongoing in comic books because they want to do that. And this is also why I've also stopped reading comic books. Like I think they got to a point where the choice to change and reboot and move on from a character, they're like, oh, this is a big change to the Batman universe, but it's not. It's like they'll do something different for the first story arc and then that writer leaves and then you just go back to the status quo of the next writer coming back in. It's just another Scarecrow story. It's just another Riddler story. It's just another Joker story. Yeah, sure, you get some outliers in there that write some fantastic stuff and want to make some big impacts on the world and the universe. Oh, my light just died. Good time for a break. The world and the universe, but it's then superseded 5 to 6. Maybe they get a double story arc run, and they get 12, maybe even 24. Maybe they get to write for a year or two, like Scott Snyder and Greg Pulido, who did the Court of Owls run at the start of the New 52. They got 2 years worth of stories. Yeah, you get them. But then at the end of that,
but they're exceptions to the rule. They're not the rule.
They are exceptions to the rule, and they are very much exceptions to the rule. And they're the 1% of the 100% because then it just goes back to the status quo, and then you get a whole bunch of mediocre shit written for that for the next 5 years until their sales start to drop, and they go, oh, okay, we've got to do something drastic here now to pull through. Okay, what can we do? Death of a character? Why not? And then you roll back through again. I mean,
I just find in the movies these days there's just no consequences. There's no emotional gravity to people's choices because, with the very rare exception like Iron Man and Yondu, there's just no consequences to any of this. So they make it out like there's this huge debate about what to do next, and it's a moral quandary, and it could have this consequence or that, and there's risk, but there's no fucking risk.
But then they did.
There's no gravity.
They did pull it with Iron Man and Yondu, and it made a big difference. You look at the movies that went after that. You look at Spider-Man.
You can feel the loss
in No Way Home. Like it's like you felt his loss. Like he was really trying to find his way to go after Tony Stark died. Like you didn't kind of get that impact early on with that version of Spider-Man because the Uncle Ben thing happened well beforehand. Yeah. So they made Iron Man Marvel Cinematic, this universe's Uncle Ben, and he needed to find a way to move on and grow as a character. And if they're not going to make those risks anymore, why would any of us that have been with it for the last X amount of years continue on with it? And
they're now talking about doing another Thor with Waititi. And I'm just like,
it's ridiculous.
I just couldn't be any less interested.
No.
Yeah, you need to be. Well, they need to be carefully selecting who they are giving to properly handle these things. And
Yeah.
Thor's always been the mismatch. Like Ragnarok was the one that made it, but the other ones have always been like, it's up and down.
No, Ragnarok made it because it was different. It was tonally different. But then the fourth film was a carbon copy of the third one, and that's why it flopped. Because it was supposed to be an exception to the rule, and it worked really well as an exception.
My biggest thing with them at the moment is, and I'm sure you guys will probably agree, is that there's, and then that's been talked about pretty heavily, was that because it's so secretive now, there's no real like actor development going on. Like normally you give an actor a script and they get to read through it, they get to figure out the motivations of the character because they have the whole story, they know all the angles and stuff, and they get to pick, well, actually, if I'm going to play this guy, I'm going to come up from a different thing because of, you play it however you do based on having the whole story. But it's so secretive because they're so worried about leaks.
Yeah.
It's
stifling. Yeah, I think you're right, though.
It's killing a lot of the creativity. Yeah. And unfortunately, like the only reason that these leaks are happening is because of people who are fans who just can't have the fucking patience. Like,
I blame Mark Ruffalo and Tom.
I'm talking about like
Star Wars.
No, but there's
Holland.
Tom Holland. Thank you.
Yeah, but every time there's a set photo leak or something like that, and it makes a headline on like
But who cares? Like it's like fucking hell.
Well,
They're
that's
making
the thing.
movies.
I think the studio needs to realize that like
it's not that big a deal,
people are
guys.
still
Just
going to go,
relax.
but people are still going to go see it. But they it's so secretive now that it's like.
But if anything, knowing that like the actor is in the new Batman suit and getting a couple of really dodgy images of the new Bat suit caused us to sit here on a podcast and fucking tear it apart and analyze it, and it made us more excited to see the movie.
Yeah. Normally, you think it would go, but they that's why they stopped giving actors all this stuff. It's just like, just fucking let them talk about it, whatever.
But if the content they're giving is good, it makes no difference. We saw the stunt double in the Batman costume, and I really liked it. You saw him without the cape. I was actually hoping we'd get to see him without the cape because that led into part of a Batman story. That was a Scott Snyder story. That was a Year Zero. And I was really hoping that we would get to see that Batman, no cape, on the motorcycle, got things on his wrists. And it's like, if they're going to do it well, design things well, and not CGI shit. You're not watching Tony Stark. God,
Iron Man?
Robert Downey Jr.
God, Robert Downey Jr. Fuck. You're not walking around seeing him in a fucking grey suit with spots on it and like the shoulder pads of the Iron Man suit. It's like, why not leak these things? Why not have them on set? Hey, you know what? Throw them on set one day where there's a hole in the wall over there where, there's 20 paparazzi. Give them a look, build that hype, and write a good story and have a good film on the outside of it.
It's a combination of things, but it's really a lot of them are talking about how it's the secrecy which is killing the creativity in this.
I agree.
Because the actor needs to live the character for it to be believable for us.
Yes. Totally agree.
Yeah. Cool.
Marvel, call me. I'll solve all your problems.
All right, I think we're going to take a break now.
Hey, hey.
Well, we're fucking back, you dogs.
Dan, are you gonna kick us off? Take us away with your third but second beer. Okay, second review, third beer. Why didn't you review the second beer? Was it bad?
I didn't have a second beer.
No, he was sipping on his 8%er.
Right.
Understood. Yeah, it's been sitting on the 8%er. So this is the second one drop one I've got. So I've only got 3 beers tonight, which is the Hellenic Lager. The one drop Hellenic Lager. I think this is a lot lighter. This is only a 5% one, but I don't know whether Pete's going to cut out me holding up the glass before. But
no.
It is just
crystal clear.
Crystal. It's just like you can even see the little batch man. Oh, I can't quite get little batch man right through the glass. But it's classic. It's got some real herbal, noble hop characters to it. It's very light bodied, very low on bitterness. Is it low on bitterness? The first sip that I had, I thought it was low on bitterness. Yeah, fairly low. Lower than I probably would have expected or hoped for. But it's not a Pilsner. It's an Hellenic Lager, which isn't actually a style. It's just like these Italian Pilsners. They're not. And the Italian Pilsner is not a style. It's just something.
This is a Greek Pilsner.
Yeah, this is a Greek Pilsner. Yeah. It's got really beautiful herbal hop character in there with just a super clean light body. Really beautiful. Really, really beautiful. I mean, you would say that this type of beer is a summer beer, but I think this is an anytime beer. It's just really nice and clean and great.
I'll tell you what.
Just a nice one to start on. Yeah.
They fucking sell it hard on Untapped. The little spiel
really,
about the beer. No. But it's like it makes me thirsty for it.
It's good.
Would you say it's almost a thirst trap?
With our ability to strip back the water we use. I'm glad I didn't see that. I have to edit it later, though, unfortunately. With our ability to strip back the water we use in our lagers to the pure H2O molecule, we are then able to build up the water profile and match it to anywhere in the world. This summer, we will transport ourselves to sunny Greece by matching to the same water profile you would find from natural springs in Attica for this brew. This lager is truly the heart of an authentic Hellenic beer, with a balanced, slightly sweet character comprising of fruity nuances and continental hops, yet just the right amount of bitterness with a long-lasting and clear finish.
Yep,
that's a well fucking written spiel. You gotta admit.
Yep.
Out of 5?
Nice. Let's go 4.75.
Woo!
It's worthy of that.
4.75, and it's a 5%er. It's a lager.
And it's not done with one of those lager yeasts I fucking hate. I don't know what it's done with, but it's super clean. It hasn't got the traditional yeasty lager character to it, which
like
is
the farmhousiness.
Great. No, it's just
doesn't have the Carlton Draft chalkiness to it.
Yeah, it's the one that a lot of people use is Saf Ale, Saf W3470. And it's just a lager yeast.
I was just about to say that too.
Yeah.
WD-40.
Yep.
Does make it squeaky clean. I'll show myself out.
There. Yeah.
I think we both show ourselves out, Tom. Do you want to go next, mate, or do you want me to?
I will. Somebody turn on the klaxon because we have a code red. This is from Black Hops Brewing. I've had this beer years ago. I had a little check on the old Untapped to see because I thought I'd had it before. I think it used to be like just a one-off release they did every now and then. But yes, this is part of their Recon series. It is 6.2%. And just a classic American red ale using Simcoe, Citra, and Mosaic, and it fits the bill. It hits the spots. It ticks the boxes. It's not in a bad way. You probably can't see it. Oh, you might be able to see it. It's got a really nice the look
ready
through.
Brownnesses.
Yeah, the ready brown through, especially when it gets a little light behind it. It does look quite picturesque. But it's beautiful malt backbone. It's nice and hoppy. And it's very, very enjoyable. And look, I would say if they're only releasing this once a year, then they should quadruple that and release it quarterly. I'd definitely get it. I'm giving that a 4. That's very, very good. But it doesn't re-change the red IPA landscape, but it does everything very, very well. Well done, Black Ops. Mission accomplished, if you will.
Out of 5?
The 4 that I said 20 seconds ago.
I blocked out all of the bad puns and I accidentally blocked out the score.
I said the score before the bad pun for a reason. But no, solid 4. Very good red IPA. See that, grab it. How fresh.
Nice.
Yeah.
It certainly stands out. The can.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it does. It's got 1 month old too. But yeah, that's good.
What the fuck is this Walking Dead Destiny shit we've got in the...
Oh, we'll get to it.
Yes, Dan.
Fuck, spoilers.
Thanks for asking, Dan. I'm drinking.
I really completely just scrubbed that trailer because it looked like fucking rubbish. But anyway, yep.
Yeah, no, that's why I put it in there because I want to get into it. I want to get right into it.
Controversy. So I'm drinking all the way from the Central Coast, not New Zealand.
From Erina, New Zealand.
This is In Bloom Honey IPA. I've actually got 2 honey beers for my final two beers. The second one's going to knock my socks off. This is a 6.4% IPA. It's fucking great. It's just so, like, they really could have easily made an IPA sickly sweet by adding honey and just had that pure residual sugar. Like, just
there
just
is an error
shitloads
in New Zealand.
But it's got that real, like, the honey flavor profile as opposed to just the sweetness part of it.
Yeah, but
It's got that depth.
honey beers are never sweet beers because the sugar in honey is.
Oh, this is very sweet,
fermentable.
Dan.
Oh, well, it's not from the honey then because all the sugars in honey are fermentable sugars.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause we did a maple brown ale recently, and it became so like nicely bitter, like because when the maple went through, it was just got that real maple bitterness to it. And I've had some honey beers where I found it really goes to that bitterness spectrum rather than the sweet. Yeah.
No, this is
It definitely depends on what sort of honey they use too. Like because obviously honey is very different depending on the pollen that comes through. So it can be super floral, but you can also get those. Is it blue gum honeys? Like one of the Australian ones that's really popular is
blue gum.
Like they say it's floral, and then once you start to put it in beers, it becomes quite bitter because of the nature of the pollen that the honey's being made from.
Yeah,
this is very sweet. This beer, it's not. So it has a sweetness that is distinct from the flavor of honey. Honey has a depth of flavor to it. It's not like pure sugar. It has that woody. You said floral. Sometimes it's got some woodiness, some earthiness to it, depending on the type of honey. This is an excellent IPA with some specific, like it has clear hop notes ringing through, but it then has this nice honey flavor profile attached to it, and it's perfectly balanced. 13 IBU, 6.4%. It's fucking perfectly harmonized. Their spiel on LinkedIn.
Like, we can tell what world Pete lives in 5 days a week.
5 days a week.
Well, 6 days a week, and he takes 1 day off a fortnight for this.
Brewed with great excitement coupled by deep sadness, this year's edition features organic honey from our close friends at Duralong Farms, who not only take our spent grain for feed, but generously provided honey from what was their last harvest before hive extermination. So they must have had some aggressive bees. Selected specialty malts deliver a deep and rich golden color while offering earthy caramel sweet malt flavors. I should have read this before trying the beer. Late additions of chamomile flowers amplify the distinct floral, aniseed, and fruity honey notes, and finishing with Nelson Salvin hops for an additional rich stone fruit aroma and flavor. Citra and Nelson round out the dry hop to intensify the sweet, fruity nectar that is in this Bloom 2023. It's fucking spectacular. I'm giving it a 5. It's as good as I think you could ever get a honey IPA.
Good.
And like, I'd drink fucking 10 more of them.
That makes me want to go buy some.
It's a shame that they had to get rid of the hive. Bees are very important. We like them.
That
comes from someone who is allergic to their sting.
I'm allergic to bees as well, and yet for some reason, when I'm not watching hoofer videos, I watch a lot of bee videos and bee apiary keeping and that sort of thing. I don't know why. It's the dangerousness, I guess, but it's
just you want to be yourself.
Oh God!
God, you guys are a fucking ball of fun. Can't eat chilies. Can't get stung by bees.
Well, I'm definitely not at the same time.
At least I can't. Just the only thing I can't eat is fucking dairy. But it's not going to kill me. It's just going to give me the fucking shits. It's like,
I haven't died yet from either of them, so I'm willing to roll the dice.
Yeah, and unless I swallow a bee and it stings me on the inside of my throat, I'm not going to die. Just blow up like a fucking balloon. Anyway. Let's move into trailer trash.
You like things engorging, Pete?
I do. That's why I keep a bee in a...
Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, no, you couldn't play off that one quick enough.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
I was just thinking a matchbook, like a matchbox. Like, anyway. Yes, no, I couldn't. Trailer trash. We're moving on. 57 seconds, in fact, is how far we're moving on.
57 seconds long. Disappointed.
Is that how long his engorgement lasts?
Oh, fuck.
Penis is funny.
Children.
Josh,
Come on.
Josh
serious
Hutcherson.
things these days.
I like
Josh Hutcherson and Morgan Freeman.
And Morgan Freeman. I was one of those things I was thinking when you put it up there. I was just like, can't remember the last thing I saw him in, but he's having a bit of a renaissance. I just looked at his upcoming. Yeah, I looked at his upcoming films. Like he's had films. He was in Hunger Games and stuff, so he's obviously got.
Yawn.
Well, I didn't watch him, but he obviously got acting. Yeah, I'm just saying he was in them, but so he obviously had like some acting work through that, and he's been in a whole bunch of stuff. But he's in Five Nights at Freddy's that we talked about the last recording or so. Got this now. Yeah, good on him. Welcome back, son.
This reminds me of a Nick Cage film where he could see into the future.
Next.
Thank you. Brilliant film. I really enjoyed it. It's up there for me with Payday as films I just keep watching over and over again. Or Paycheck, sorry, not Payday. Paycheck with Ben
Affleck.
Ben Affleck, yeah.
I wasn't actually looking at the recording screen at that time, so when you said next, I was like, "Are you fucking dissing Nick Cage?" I came straight back. I was ready to jump, and then I was like,
"No, the movie's called
That's
Next."
the film name.
Yes.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
no,
an
I was saying
excellent
I held back. I was right on the edge.
With
I was like,
him and the lady that's in Boogie Nights.
I've never seen Boogie Nights, but she is beautiful.
What's her name?
I will find out while we talk about this actual film we're talking about.
Yep.
Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore, yes.
Goodbye.
See, every time I say someone's gorgeous on this podcast, you give me a discouraging comment, Tom.
No. It's the way you say it. And you don't usually say gorgeous. It's usually other
Hot
descriptors.
It's also the way that your screen fogs up. Like you're out the window already, just looking in.
Anyway, 57 seconds.
No.
Looks like so it's set in modern day. It looks like he can see the future, but only a short distance, which is why it reminds me of Next.
When he rubs his ring.
He clicks his ring and he goes back 57 seconds. It's Prince of Persia. It's Prince of Persia Sands Time. It's the first thing I thought of when I watched the whole trailer. I was like, it's Prince of Persia Sands Time.
Yeah. Next trailer. Unless we've got any more commentary.
No, I think that looked incredibly time travel generic movie.
Yeah.
Netflix original kind of stuff.
Could be great, could be shit.
It looks like it should have been an episode of Black Mirror to me.
Black Mirror is fucking kind of AAA grade quality storytelling though. So like that's not a bad comparison to make other than the length of time it takes to tell the story.
Yes, I love Black Mirror. So maybe that was a bad that looks like a budget Black Mirror.
Sure.
Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone. There we go.
Black Mirror
Twilight
is the
Zone.
current.
Thank you.
Black Mirror is the modern day Twilight Zone. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But it's the AAA
yeah.
standard. Yes.
Yeah. Invasion Season 2 on Apple TV Plus.
Really good.
Yeah, so I commented on the podcast on Invasion Season 1 and I didn't rate it very highly.
Yep, I remember that.
It was a bit like it seemed watching bits and pieces of it and watching certainly the trailer for Season 1, it looked like an epic masterpiece of alien invasion storytelling, and yet it didn't quite deliver. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't B grade by any stretch of the imagination. The acting was great. The storytelling was good. It was interesting and engaging. The aliens weren't typical aliens. So they did something a bit creative.
That's exactly what I liked from the trailer. I thought it was like from this Season 2 trailer, you saw the aliens and they move and everything that kind of makes you, like, it kind of ticks that thing in your brain and go, oh, like, yeah, I don't want to be close to that.
Real.
Like, and they
gives you the heebie-jeebies.
Like, it gives you the heebie-jeebies. Like, they fit in the world. Like, the actual computer generated creation of the special effects is fantastic, and it does give you that creepy-jeebies. Like if you saw something like that in, like, one of them's in a doorway at one point, and it's like this tubular thing and it shoots out tentacles to like grab the walls and move forward, and it's just almost I don't want to be near that.
It's almost Abyss but gone manga because it is
yeah.
very manga or very anime.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Any tentacle beast is quite manga.
But just the way like when you talk about the way they move, the way they're like,
it's almost digital.
I was thinking more like it really reminds me of the way they always showed the symbiote. Like,
yes,
it's that, but it's the way like their leg comes up and then shoots out of their body again. Like
they're made out of so the aliens, because they revealed the aliens pretty clearly in towards the end of season 1, and they're like this almost they're a black goop, but that does move like the symbiote, but in kind of a digital kind of way. There's a structure to the fluid.
Yeah,
it's not organic. It's a
massive oxymoron there.
I know, and but if you watch it, you'll understand kind of where I'm coming from. They've gone. It's a very specific,
which is
look,
also very fitting
unique
for them being alien by the definition.
It's fantastic. Yeah, and that's what
you wanted to trigger that uncanny valley kind of thought process. It needs to be a little off-putting. But yeah, I just found season 1 suffered a little bit too much from a recurring, almost cyclic love story. It leaned, but it's not a traditional love story. It was a flawed love story, and it ties directly back into the aliens, but it was just a little bit too heavy-handed on it. She's pining for her girlfriend that went to space and apparently died in and you find all this out in the first episode, so it's not a spoiler. Who apparently died when the aliens rocked up, but then she keeps feeling connected to her. It just leaned a little bit too heavily into the relationship drama for me.
Yeah, okay.
When it had the potential to tell a really cool fucking alien story. But season 2 trailer kind of amps it up and makes me want to get back into it. So, don't know. The third and final TV one was the Continental, which got added late. So late, in fact, that I didn't even see it get added.
The Continental is the spin-off from the John Wick series.
John Wick, yeah.
It's
one of this 2 or 3 that they're doing, isn't it?
Probably.
Well, it's a 3-parter. That's great.
It's yes. So it's for those who haven't watched this one yet. So this is
including
this is set in the 1970s, and it deals with Winston before he's the owner of the Continental. Mel Gibson's in it, which I thought was
wow.
Yeah.
That gives us some credibility.
Yeah, they've added. I'm guessing, obviously.
Unfortunately, Lance Reddick won't be in it.
Yeah, so they've got a guy who's playing, I'm assuming, the same character,
young version of him,
or maybe not. I couldn't remember Lance Reddick's character's name in it, but
it sounded like
role.
him. Yeah, it sounded like him when he opened the door. It sounded like, but the age didn't quite seem to match
voice.
up. But anyway, yeah.
And then it's John Wick's TV series, basically, just set in the 70s. There's still the same amount of weirdo assassins, all with their one little like shtick kind of thing. So there was there's a shot of a lady who's just complete splits. That's just how she sits in chairs for whatever God knows reason. There's a lady with half a face mask on, like samurai style, all this kind of stuff. Like everyone's kind of got their little that's how you stand out in the assassin universe.
Yeah.
But it's pitching it. What I took from the trailer is it's pitching it as a one brother's done something wrong, so he's got to go against the Continental, which is all the assassins, and then they're like the massive fight scenes. They all fight like John Wick in this one. That's the combat they use.
It's got the potential to be really cool.
It looks and then they form like a bit of a group to take on the Continental. I'm sure it's meant to be, and then that's how Winston takes over.
Three parts. Three. Condense it. Do it well. Tell a story. Be done.
Gotta milk the cow.
The cow. You gotta wank those teats, man.
Like, I remember, and I regret saying this, when we first reviewed John Wick 1 on the podcast, like 4 years ago, whenever it was, actually must be 5 years ago now. It must have been pretty early in our podcasting career, Dan. I remember saying that I really enjoyed the fact that throughout the first movie, there really seemed to be a lot of subculture that they had just floated on the surface. They didn't really explore, but there was depth to it. It was a lived-in universe. Fuck, I regret saying that, because they milked the fuck out of it over 5 or 6 more movies and at least 2 spin-offs, because this is only one of 2 spin-offs that they've already announced.
What's the second one?
I can't remember the name of the other one.
That's good.
It's the Japanese lady.
I think it
John
might
Wick
have been focused on her, and it's a prequel story about her from memory.
Oh, okay.
So the Continental it's the episode titles are Night 1, Night 2, and Night 3. So it's 3 nights, really succinct story.
Yep, that's great.
It will be available through its Peacock. So I'm again assuming Stan. I think they have a deal here in Australia. So
I might actually have to turn that back on for a little while.
Yes, yeah. Well, I really want to watch Twisted Metal, and I haven't started yet because I like cars that explode. Hence I love the Transformer series. Truck go boom. But it looks fun. It's again, it's going to be one of those things like Air. It's going to have a killer soundtrack. I'm just going to pick some really cool songs from the 70s and just blast them out, and I'm going to enjoy every time they use that well. That's it. So that's the Continental. It is September. It's about to come out. It's got to be out soon, September 23. So, yes, coming to a screen near you.
Game time.
Right. Game time.
It is game time. Dan, you can kick this one off. This is you, pal.
This popped onto my radar in my YouTube feed this morning because I have far too many Cyberpunk videos in my YouTube stream.
Not enough hoof videos, clearly.
Not enough hoof cleaning videos. My feed is full of armor making, blacksmithing, and cyberpunk videos. Is pretty much my YouTube feed, which is good. Neon Berlin.
We're manly men. Sorry.
Neo Berlin 2087, such a generic fucking name. Cyberpunk 2077, Blade Runner 2049. The next Blade Runner is. The TV series is set before 2049.
I still think Deus Ex is still the best version of Deus Ex Machina was the best game that they made along these lines. It was just Deus Ex, actually.
Deus Ex. Well, there's 4 Deus Ex. There's the 2 original ones, and then there's Human Revolution and Mankind Divided.
Mankind Divided was the one.
Yeah, so Human Revolution was the first of the reboot.
Right.
And then Mankind Divided was the second. So Neo Berlin 2087 looks like this studio is trying to beat Cyberpunk 2077 at their own game and making
wouldn't be hard.
Third person to first person detective noir a la Blade Runner Cyberpunk. Where the cars look flyable and all that sort of stuff. So it does look like a real mesh of things that they promised for Cyberpunk 2077 versus things that are in Blade Runner 2049 with the detective noir. So it does look good, and like a lot of Deus Ex in there as well with the first person shooting but third person combat takedowns. So there's a lot going on there, but it looks like an interesting story. There's a new Berlin Wall that's been built in this massive corporate cyberpunk world. Me and Pete definitely broke down the cyberpunk genre of within the sci-fi universe in our Uplate episode. The last episode. Go back to it and listen to it. Give us a like and subscribe.
Dan, we bow down to thee.
Not fucking listening to it.
But this is right up my alley. I mean, I thought it looked really good. If they deliver on what this has promised, it'll look good. So Neo Berlin 2087.
Go and check
From
it
something
out.
that looks really good to something that looks really fucking mind-boggling.
Yeah. Let's talk about this next one.
Walking Dead Destinies.
I literally scrubbed through this. Is this a fucking mobile game?
No.
Oh no.
What would happen? What would have happened if Shane wasn't successfully killed?
It's branching storylines of The Walking Dead. So it covers seasons 1 to 4, and you get to do if Shane wasn't killed and Rick was killed instead in that standoff. And then you get to play through the series of.
It's perfectly
so bad.
So bad.
But you talk about PlayStation graphic callbacks. It is a fucking PlayStation 2 callback. This isn't 3 or a 4. This is a 2.
They did say it was alpha footage. alpha footage.
No, fuck that. Like we've seen
but
so
you're
much
developing
better
Unreal
alpha footage.
5. It looks better than that.
I'm not defending them. I'm just
No,
saying
yeah,
that's
no,
what they
no.
say.
We're not attacking you either.
I'm factually saying the things.
Mm.
It looks fucking horrible. Also, I can't believe they're still because they're about to do the whole renaissance of
Yeah.
Walking Dead TV shows.
Well, it's perfectly timed because
can't let it die.
Daryl's being
'Cause it's a
advertised
zombie.
everywhere.
No,
It's gonna
no one.
keep
Okay,
beating that dead corpse.
literally beating the dead horse. Yeah, this is just. Look, I gave up. I think I watched the first season when Negan came in with Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
I watched. You know, it's
Jeffrey
funny.
Dean Morgan is amazing
Negan,
and
Such a
he's
great actor.
Yeah.
But after that, I was just like, I can't keep doing this.
It sucked the life out of the show. So
Yeah.
I quit 2 episodes after what's his name dies. What I can't remember
Glenn.
his name.
Glenn.
Thank you.
The popping
I
eye.
got 2 episodes past that. Yeah, the eye popping. Got 2 episodes past that. Gave up on it for 5-6 years, and I recently rewatched all of it with the intent to just finish
Wow.
it. Right?
Jesus
With
That is
the,
a
with the
commitment.
intent to just finish it, and I got up to the end of that season where Daryl dies. Where Glenn dies,
Glenn.
and stopped again. So I still haven't seen it all. It's just such a depressing fucking show from that point. Like it was
Yeah.
always pretty pointless.
But it's not even depressing. They go from that point, and they always did suffer from it a little bit. And it's what it's got now. It's just bloat. There's so much just talk. You get on from that part, and you get the son ends up in Negan's camp, and then you've got like 4 episodes of Negan fucking walking him around the camp, talking to him, and then you've got the kingdom shit, and like nothing happens for like 5 episodes, and you're like, I get you've got to do character development, but all you have to
but not
do,
at the expense of interesting your audience.
Yeah.
and they're 1 hour episodes. They're all
Yeah.
fucking 1 hour episodes.
Was that the guy with the tigers? The kingdom you're talking
The
about? Was that
Kingdom,
the guy?
yeah.
Yeah.
And to
I
like,
think I got to when they first really get to him, and then I was just like, nah.
No,
I'm
I
done.
got to the end of that season. I bailed. And yet I would really enjoy watching Daryl fuck shit up again. So
Well,
now
that's
that
the
he's
thing,
got his
'cause
own
they're making
TV series.
They're making the Daryl series.
That's
They've
being
got the-
advertised heavily at the moment.
They got the Negan and Maggie series in New York, which
I don't know.
which is just Escape from New York, just with zombies.
I don't understand how those 2 characters end up together. I don't care enough to figure it out. Like,
No.
clearly, if you watch the end of Walking Dead, you'll figure it out. But there's also always been...
there's a Rick series too.
Is there really?
Yeah, I'm
'Cause
pretty sure.
He dies at season 9 or something?
No, he doesn't die. The helicopter comes and picks him up, doesn't it? I've seen the cliff notes of all this, so don't quote me on any of this.
I thought he died. I know his son dies. Everybody fucking dies except Daryl, Maggie.
I'm pretty sure he didn't die. I'm pretty sure there's a Rick series coming as well, which is the last of the
spin-offs.
the group new spin-offs that they're doing.
There was also The Day of the Walking Dead or something like that.
Fear the
Was it?
Walking Dead.
Fear the Walking Dead, which actually wasn't bad.
That wasn't bad because it went back
Walking
to
Dead, The Ones Who Live has Andrew Lincoln.
The Ones Who Lives. Yes.
Yeah.
The Ones Who Live. So the
Tim and
Fear the Walking Dead was good for the season. I saw season 1, a little bit
Season
of season
1,
2.
yeah.
Because it filled in that gap while Rick was asleep. It was the outbreak.
Yeah.
So you follow this.
But
this
that's where it
character-
needed to stop. That's where it needed to stop.
Yeah.
Like it was just, it should have been the out. It should have been maybe 2 seasons. I think they got up to 3 or 4. Maybe
I
more.
think they're up to like 4.
In the worst city, probably one of the worst cities on earth to be stuck in the zombie apocalypse.
LA?
Fucking LA.
Yeah.
Too many people.
Overpopulated already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you've got 0 fucking chance.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, we're getting really caught up on this, but because no one needs to play
6
another
seasons it went through. 6 seasons.
game. Jesus.
I'm going to pee again. Quantum Error. I like the look of it, but I don't know what it's going to do mixed genres. But I do want to hear your quotes.
Well, you can listen back because we're not waiting for you. Go on. So Quantum Error is the last thing we got. So what is it? Walking Dead Destinies.
Yeah.
Probably not going to keep an eye on it. Just wanted to point out how bad it looked. Like that, it's shocking. Like whether or not it's alpha footage or not,
It looks like a fucking turd,
yeah,
frankly.
yeah, and not even a shiny one, like because it's
No.
Walking Dead, so it's. But like even the blood splatter just looked bad.
Yeah, it looks cheap.
Yeah, it really did. So the last game is called Quantum Error. This was announced 3 years ago for PS4.
Really?
Yep,
I did not know that.
PS4 and PS5. It has finally now been said that it's just for PS5. So they're ditching PS4. The development studios come in and said it would require too many cutbacks to get it running on PS4.
Good. There's a studio with testicles.
Yes, and so they're going to announce it for PS5, and then I think later on they'll release it for PC and then Series Box, whatever. I'll tell. Actually, I've really got it. Oh, Dan's back. This is great. I just fucked up whatever series. What is it? Series X.
Series X.
Series X. My mum's partner the other day, we went for lunch, and she goes, "How was your 2 weeks off?" I was like, "It's great. Did nothing." She goes, "Oh, so what did you do? Just sit on the play box?" And I was like, "I can't believe you managed to marry them so well together." Yeah, the play box or the X station. I was just like, "Oh, that's fantastic." But yes, so Quantum Error, it was originally announced for PS4 and PS5 about 3 years ago. It's been stuck into obviously some sort of development hell, or they've just been working on it quietly in the background.
Doesn't look horrible.
Now they're releasing on PS5, and it's a combination of I got again Control vibes from it watching the gameplay, and then Fireman Sam.
I wrote down Doom, Stalker, and the Backdraft movie had a 3-way.
Backdraft.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I thought there was going to be a bad one there coming.
Nope.
At least he talked about the film.
We've all been there. But it's got that real horror first-person shooter style of Stalker, but there's clearly references to hell and hell beasts and shit from Doom.
Oh, and it's cosmic horror. And
it was more Cthulhu and stuff I got from it. Yeah. But yeah, it looks
interesting.
Yeah, I really like the way that he was. You see in the little bits like he's getting through a locked door and he's like, "Well, fuck this," and just puts in the fireman's jaws of life. I was like, "That's genius."
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Alien Colonial Marine as well. Had that real
definitely
don't stop moving pace to it.
Yeah.
It felt like it looked like survival horror, first person shooter. There's some building mechanic involved in there as well. Like who knows? But there's this real weird blend of genres in there. But I mean, all it takes is one clever studio to pull those things together and do something fantastic. Yeah.
And again, look at Control. That's a brilliant game.
Yeah,
I need to play it.
That's
you guys
so
really
went
too
under
much
the radar.
for me not to.
Yeah.
I reinstalled. I was very disappointed. I reinstalled it on my PS5 the other day, and I thought the PS5 upgrade was a free upgrade. It's not.
Oh, well, because I only did that for the first year or so.
Oh, really? Was it?
Yeah.
Obviously, didn't cash in on that.
I'm going to report later on that I'm not playing anything at the moment, but I'm really going to struggle to make up my mind as to whether I'm going to play Starfield or Baldur's Gate 3 first.
Well, they're both released big on the investments. Both big investments from what I understand. Yeah.
In terms of time. Well, I've already invested like $900 in a console for one of them.
Do you want my opinion?
Sure.
I'm sure you don't give a fuck.
We should probably pause and talk about this in Are You Winning, Son? But yes, I would like.
Oh, we can pull that. Yeah. We can pull that for later. Yeah, we pull that for later.
Okay.
Put a pin in it.
All right.
There's a little teaser for later on. My opinion on what Pete should play.
You're definitely going to hang on for that. Beer 4. Let's do it.
Oh, well, I'm not ready. Fuck.
Oh, I'm all right.
You can start and I will catch up.
Yep.
No, okay. All right.
Yep.
I am drinking another cracker of a fucking beer. I'm going to be trashed by the end of this episode. This is One Drop's Beeline. It's a very...
Oh, yeah. I've had Beeline.
Very honey-focused episode for me, or second half. This is a salted honeycomb.
Such a sweet thing.
That's right. Salted honeycomb imperial pastry stout at 10.8%. And it's a fucking corker.
Beeline's a very good beer.
Yeah. A buzzy as new imperial stout, imperial pastry number with over 9 types of specialty malts, a lactose-heavy base, and loaded to the hilt with pastry-laden adjuncts, honeycomb, pecan, salted caramel, vanilla, and sweet cream. Think big, think decadent. it will have you making a beeline straight to it.
Beeline straight for the diabetes pen just to check yourself after you finish it.
It's fucking spectacular, I've got to say.
What ABV was it again, Pete? Did you say, or did I?
10.8.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Morning!
It's definitely a night ender. You do get the salt. Like they talk about salted caramel. You definitely get the salt. You definitely get the caramel. You get honeycomb as opposed to honey from the IPA I just finished. It is a little bready. Like you can tell it's a pastry stout.
Yep.
It's got that malt bill in it that kind of grounds it without, like otherwise the flavors just run away with themselves. And 10.8% is hidden. It's buried in all of that sugar. You don't taste it at all. That's fucking lethal. I'm going to give that another fucking 5. That's 2 5s for this episode for me. Both of those beers are fucking spectacular. I'm definitely going to be slurring later. I don't think I am now.
You didn't want to say anything, but
Not yet. I give you.
Thanks,
well, let's call it. What is it? It's 7:27
in the PM.
Should we give it 25 minutes? I'm calling
That's a
25
school
minutes,
night.
and till we start to go, Pete.
25. I give the next 3 mouthfuls.
What are you drinking, Tom?
I am
Speaking
drinking.
of mouthfuls.
I am going to have a mouthful of this. I am drinking one of the best named beers that I've seen in a long time. It is the Hawker's Oaty McOatface.
I saw that the other day.
It is a oatmeal cacao peanut milk stout. Like Hawkers obviously make fantastic stouts and have for a long time. Their barrel aged stouts are some of the best coming out.
They're up there with Brick Lane.
Good old Melbourne. I would honestly say I would say they surpass Brick Lane in a number of ways. But yeah,
What's the ABV?
the ABV on this one is a rounded 8%.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I think I've ordered it from you actually.
Good, because this is delicious. This is like I'm not the biggest fan of peanut and chocolate together. I've never been I'm not a Reese's Pieces kind of guy. But that works really, really well. I do like the peanut and chocolate in a beer though. So I quite like this. Really smooth. Like the oat base is super smooth. That is, it's quite rich and sweet. You get a little bit of the saltiness from the peanut butter kind of coming through. Like it's it's thick as mud. Like it's tangibly thick on the tongue. The way it runs down, it like really coats like your whole mouth in a quite pleasant way. I think really from those oats, and it ticks all those boxes on the box. It's not overly. It is like the chocolate sweetness isn't so much that it's sickly, but it's definitely present. Yeah, that's very good. Oaty McOatface, best name for a boat as well. The Oaty McBoatface. I still think that's one of the greatest campaigns that ever existed. Yeah, I'm giving that's a 4.5. That's really, really good. I've been sitting on that for a while. I'm glad I saved that for recording. I was going to have that on my lonesome, but no, better to have and recommend to people. Yeah, if you can find a can of it, definitely grab it.
Yeah,
Really
awesome.
Yeah, good mix of flavors.
I have Shout Brewing from Newcastle, left on red IPA, 6.3%. Left on red IPA, 6.3%. It's a special release from them.
We've never had Shout Brewing on the podcast.
No, Shout are a very small brewery. I do have to say, I did receive this beer for free. This is not an endorsement. This is an endorsement of their brand and their beers, but not a paid or forced endorsement. This is a genuine
opinion.
Genuine opinion on their product. But just look at that. Look. Oh, no. We've got to get some light behind
It's a lovely rich red. I'm looking at it online.
Yeah.
Oh, can we get this? Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Like,
we have the beer backlighting.
Yes. It's obviously been...
some real rich caramel notes to
It's
it.
even redder than it's showing up on camera, but it does have super caramelly body to it, but it's got a really good Simcoe or something along that resinous mosaic Simcoe line of hop character in there, and a good solid bitterness. I'd like a touch more. just a fucking
One more notch, please.
one more notch.
Yeah.
But it's got a great hop character. It's super clean. That caramel malt base really comes through, and that 6.3 doesn't sit there at all. Like it's not present. It's just caramel, bit of residual sweetness from that malt character as well. But it all works. It's all leveled and balanced and layered together. It's really beautiful. I would give that. God, I really want to give it a half mark, but I can't give it.
Because you're weird.
Yeah. Well,
Because it gives you a half mark.
Like I keep telling you, this is the hill we're going to die on.
You're
No, it's the
gonna
hill
die
you're
on.
dying
You made
on.
it up.
I know.
It was a figment of your own imagination.
Someone said something somewhere, so this is the hill I'm going to die on.
No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. You came up with it just randomly one
Did
day.
I? Oh.
You
Yes.
said it to yourself in your
You
own brain
genuinely
space.
did. It was a conversation that you had with yourself. That's right.
It was my stand against quarter points done on Untapped.
No, we got that part. It's just no one else gives a fuck. That's all.
Yeah. Well, 4.25, so fuck you.
I don't take a payment either way.
I forgot to mention in my little review of the beer, this is a collaboration, this beer, but not with another brewery. It's with Hunted and Gathered Chocolate from Melbourne. So they provide the cacao nibs, and they're a native chocolate. And I just looked on their website. They also do a whiskey barrel-aged hazelnut choc spread with Starwood.
Ooh.
And I'm probably going to buy that because that sounds amazing.
Nope.
Dan's reaction could not have been further from yours.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Hazelnut.
I like hazelnut. All right, let's get on to the spotlight. We've stalled enough.
Here's the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Did we stall?
Welcome
I
to
don't think we were
Wonderland.
stalling.
Welcome to Wonderland.
Yeah.
So the point of the spotlight, is everyone cool if I intro it?
Yeah, do it.
All right. So the thank you.
Nah.
The point. Well, over to you, Tom, you fucker.
Nope, you're doing it.
The point of this spotlight, or the start of the spotlight, was a news article that Dan forwarded to us yesterday that was actually posted some time ago. I think it was the end of
31st
July.
of July, yeah, something.
Yeah. And that is that Disney...
From one of my most hated websites as well.
Screen Rant.
Screen Rant and CBR.com. I hate them.
Why?
They are the most clickbaity fucking website in the world, and their writing is horrible. That is some of the worst journalism
Everyone's
I've
writing is
ever.
horrible,
No,
mate. There's
you
Sydney
can read
Morning
some
Herald,
really
The
good
Australian.
stuff, but I think those two in particular, they just repeat themselves over and over every paragraph.
So
That's my rant. That's the hill I'm dying on. I will fight Screen Rant and CBR.com until the day I die.
okay. Well,
But it raises a good point. Anyway.
Very random.
It was
interruption
literally
to
the
intro.
first. It was literally the first one that came up when I put it into Google. So
bugging me for
I could have
days.
sent. Yeah. Anyway, we'll
I'm sure
cover this
Kotaku
at
has
other
an
time.
article.
You go.
So Disney has announced that they will stop selling physical media in Australia that covers DVDs and Blu-rays.
Yep.
And that one news article posted in our group chat just launched a fucking spiral of conversation. Of
And it
all of
wasn't
the
meant
content.
to.
No, but in a good way though. Like it's really interesting because I actually think like this is an important topic for anyone who's in the video game and music and TV movie industries or enjoy those medias. And it is kind of an echo of what happened already with the music industry.
But the music industry is undergoing a renaissance with, like my nephew, he's 19, and every year we buy him, the family. Records. And he listens to those records.
Records, I actually considered this, and like this is just kind of an unstructured introduction to the topic, right?
It is very
so. This is
unstructured,
what we're
yes.
going to talk about.
Yes.
Is the end of physical
Disappearance
movie media
of
in
physical
Australia?
media.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's lots of consequences. I think there's a lot of conversation to be had around this topic, and a lot of things that should be considered. But on the topic specifically of its alignment to what happened with the music industry and the new renaissance or prevalence of records offer something that digital media doesn't, and so it's having a renaissance because it has value. It has a unique value that you can't capture any other way.
I'm not sure that is entirely why people are collecting records or going to
maybe
records.
There's a wank factor to it.
Yes, there's
for some
an enormous
people.
wank factor.
I used to run a record fair at the pub, and it brought out the weirdest and wankiest fucking people out of the woodwork and their little like dry caves that they kept all their records in milk crates.
So it's either them or the CBC crew from Facebook.
Oh,
hassling you and Uncle Hops.
They're all fucking mouth breathing neckbeard fucks. So off we get. Fight.
Some of them do listen to the show, Tom.
Good, good. Let's go. Look,
there's definitely a wank factor to it. Yeah. There's definitely a wank factor to records, but there's also a unique value proposition that records offer that digital media doesn't. Even if you get a lossless FLAC file, you will hear the difference. If you run a record player through a tube amp, which are also experiencing a renaissance for the same reason, you will get a warmer, smoother, mellower sound than you can ever get out of any digital media.
We all like it warm, smooth, and mellow.
But until you get that fucking crackle through the background, and it's like, I was trying to hear that note, but I can't hear it over the scratch that someone's put on this.
But the end of physical media for movies is something we've talked about before.
Yeah, ages ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I brought up some concerns a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So first question up. Disappearance of physical media. What was the last physical movie that you two bought?
Movie?
The Lord of the Rings Blu-ray.
Yeah.
The trilogy, the extended edition trilogy on Blu-ray.
For me, it would have been around the time of Batman versus Superman on 4K HDR.
So 4+ years ago.
There's got to be something more recent. I just can't picture it. I've got a bookshelf full of 4K discs.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the reason. I specifically bought the physical media that I couldn't replicate on streaming. I've got Dolby Atmos. I've got height speakers. So I've got speakers. I know I'm a wanker. There's no question about it. We've established this long ago in the podcast. But I've got 12 speakers in my house. One of them's a sub. And so a lot of streaming services don't offer Dolby Atmos.
I can tell you the exact date, Dan. It was the 2nd of December 2020 was when the Lord of the Rings released on Blu-ray, and that is literally the last time I ever bought a physical movie or show.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bought some stuff recently. Well, not recently, probably 18 months ago.
So
honestly.
Pete, you actually bring up a very interesting point that I didn't take into account during this whole thought process.
Right.
That I actually didn't know there was something that could be delivered from a physical disc versus a streaming service.
Oh, shit, yeah. Yeah. I mean, in terms of audio tracks, if you look at any good, not all of them, but if you look at something like Avatar, for example, you'll get the mastered Dolby Digital DTS or Dolby Digital and DTS package, which is the way that they designed the soundscape initially, which is why it's mastered that way. You'll get Dolby Atmos. You'll get a true 7.1 bit stream. You'll get a 5.1 bit stream. So you get like 7 layers of audio. Whereas on streaming, you get whatever they deliver, and more and more high quality like Apple Plus or Apple TV purchases will give you Dolby Atmos streamed.
Well, it's one of those things you can actually filter by on some of the streaming sites.
But the bit rate is nowhere near as high as it comes off a disc.
Yeah.
And so the quality isn't as high.
That's incredible because that did not factor into my thought
but most
process
people
when
aren't
I put this
fucking
out.
wankers, right? Most people don't have $10,000 sound system and a shitty TV that's got scan lines in it.
Yeah, well,
I want to hear the helicopter go over the top, but not many people care.
Also, like we should say, not many people can realistically afford it. We are in a
to be honest, these days I couldn't afford it.
We are in a cost of living crisis currently, and
True.
people just can't afford to go out and get sound systems that benefit from those things.
So
when
I
they
think
can get something, that's a special release on, say, like Kogan or Amazon that they can get, and it's 40%
I think that's
off or
actually.
whatever.
I think that's another truly valid point you bring up there, Tom. Something that also didn't come into my factor of putting this out there is someone willing to pay $14 a month or whatever Netflix is these days to have the
access to the library.
wealth of content that is on Netflix library over paying $35 or whatever it is these days for a 4K
disc.
or a Blu-ray disc of a singular movie. Now I know what my choice would be, but that's
But if you want to own, but it's interesting you say that, because if you want to own the movie as opposed to stream it, you still pay $30 to buy it.
I think that's another part of this conversation. But I think the
distinction between streaming and physical media is
that's
the
exactly
first distinction.
The wealth of hundreds, if not thousands, of shows and movies versus a singular movie. Let's talk $30, 2 months worth of Netflix.
Well,
keep talking. I'll be right back. I got to pee.
Yep.
I think actually just a really good point, because we've got this price comparison from talking in this episode alone. So to buy the 4K Ultra HD, what the fuck was that? Ultra HD Super Mario Brothers, like disc edition. It's $40 at JB, and
$40. Wow,
that's like the power up edition.
Okay, so can I just this is almost probably a Pete question, because this is my technological ignorance. Is if I was to buy that disc, that physical disc, that Ultra HD disc, could I play it on the PS5 on my current TV?
I think so.
Yeah,
it's a Ultra 4K HD Blu-ray compared to, which is $39.98 on JB. The straight Blu-ray is $29.98. So $10 difference. $10 difference.
So now we're talking about prices.
No.
Well, so I'm actually bringing up. So I was saying. So looked at the Super Mario Brothers on JB. So the Ultra HD /4K was $40.
Yep.
The Blu-ray is $30. So there's $10 difference there between the two editions. And Dan paid $6 to rent it for. Rent it for two nights. 2 nights, I guess, is the rent.
Whereas if you bought it when it was first released on streaming services,
it would have been about $35.
It was $34.99 or $29.99. They're the only two prices they come out at.
Yeah.
So I've only ever outright bought one movie on a streaming service, and I am not disappointed that movie will get erased from history. That is Matrix.
Sad Erections.
Whatever, Sad Erections, whatever that one is. But if I watching Mario last night, I will absolutely buy a physical copy of that movie, because I want to watch that on my terms. I don't want to be at the whims of my fucking internet provider. I don't want to be at the whims of my fucking streaming provider. I don't want to pay these fucking assholes. And I was this close to saying
Thank you for that distinction, Dan, you motherfucker.
Sorry.
Oh, that was comedy gold. We're getting single greatest thing.
I'm glad I didn't say.
We're getting so serious here. So there had to be a zinger put in there somewhere. But I would absolutely.
I'm the only one who's been well behaved tonight.
I will absolutely buy that movie, because I want to watch it on my terms.
Yeah,
like we've been online now for just 2 hours and 45 minutes. We didn't start for the first 45 minutes because I was having dropout issues. If I was trying to watch the movie that I wanted to watch while I was doing something, or actually just wanted to sit and watch that movie, and my internet kept dropping out, like I would have been absolutely infuriated.
Listen, or you have to go back to the days when you had to let it buffer. You had to buffer it for 30 minutes, then you come back to it. Yeah.
But it doesn't work anymore, though.
The company I work for, and I won't name it, but the company I work for relies on.
Go back a couple episodes. He's named it several times, so you can backdate this shit.
I genuinely
always talk about it off there.
Yeah, no, it's always off air. But the company I work for operates IT equipment that allows customers to pay money. And it's 100% reliant on the internet.
So
and
it's
the only
feetfinderpics.com is the website it works for.
It's Who Finder, motherfucker. Who Finder. There's no toes. it 100% relies on the internet, and the only internet we can get to our retail locations is NBN. And there is literally not a day that goes by without at least one of those sites dropping. There's only 100 in the network. I mean, we've got 500 sites total, but 100 in the network that's high tech, and there's not a single day that goes by without a dropout. So you're absolutely right when you call out that streaming is reliant on your internet, it's reliant on the service provider. But
it goes back to the fact that I can't, or you can't either, Pete, as like the highest tier of PSPlus. I have for years have not been able to use PlayStation Now, which was to stream a whole bunch of PS3 games that I wanted to replay, or games I would have played Red Dead Redemption by now, the PS3 version, because I would have streamed it to my PS5. But the Australian internet's so fucking shit, and always has been, and unfortunately probably always will be.
Here's the interesting thing. The reality has always been, if you read the fine print on the copyright notice or the licensing notice on your physical media, you have never actually bought a movie. You have bought a physical copy of the movie and a license to watch it.
Yeah.
And that license has never been perpetual. It's never been the studios have always had the right to revoke that license at any time for any reason after you've paid for it.
If some wants to come at my door and fucking take away my copy of the Batman, they're well in their rights
Pete's
to fucking
just rapidly
try.
typing now, just C-bomb.
But my point is,
I agree. I understand.
It's always been a moot point because you hold a copy of the disc. How the fuck is anyone realistically going to enforce it?
my Lord of the Rings Blu-ray collection.
Exactly.
I will knife them in the face.
As we move to streaming only,
I will
cut you. I will cut you.
It will cut. It will kill. But
it's
now
not
we're moving
size, it's how you use it.
Now we. It's not the one you had in your mouth.
Yeah, I've never fixed my Geralt sword. Yeah.
The point is, now that we move away from physical media and only to digital, they can revoke that license in a much more realistic way, and they're not just doing it to stop you from watching it. We've already seen Dogma disappear from shelves. That was physical media
years ago. Yeah,
but it is not available on any streaming services. It's not available to purchase anywhere. No. It's you can't buy physical discs anymore.
And that's because of the influence of the Catholic Church. No.
But you will see it far more often, and we've already seen it very recently with Willow.
Yeah.
6 months.
Yeah.
6 months that show. No. It was available to stream for 6 months and only 6 months. That's how long they were given. Now, it wasn't a largely successful film to start with, their source material.
Series.
But the streaming series, yeah. I mean, it was never one of Lucasfilm's big earners. It was a B-grade kind of side project that George Lucas wrote. But the TV series got pulled after 6 months, and purportedly it was to avoid paying royalties to actors. It was to avoid paying tax on licenses for the audio, like the music they had in the background. Yeah. So they now suddenly have complete control over what they continue to pay out for. And we're, with the SAG-AFTRA, is that what it is? The strikes.
SAG-AFTRA, yeah.
Yep. Is all about streaming
Always
rights.
Forward roll towards aliens.
We at the Film Actors Guild Society. Thanks for short. But they have complete control over these rights now. And they can pull shit off the shelf for more than just we had a breakup with the director, or there's something political, or the main actor fucking killed somebody or molested somebody or whatever. It can also just be about finances. We do not want to pay the extras a royalty to keep this shit online anymore. Yeah. And we've been forced through strikes to enter into agreements to continue to pay these actors when we stream shit. And we are going to see this more and more.
It's such a slippery, and obviously it's all coming to a head now. It's not even slippery slope. That's not even the right term to use. It's such a thing that's been prevalent with what's happening with the strikes, and what you're saying about Willow is people just going, oh, here's $170 or whatever you said that lady turned up on set to get digitally scanned that day. Here's $170. You work for
your career's fucking over.
Yeah, you work for 14 hours because, of course, they're going to push you over your hours working for the day because of, the fucking sound wasn't working.
And
or
you'd
the
be
caterers
excited to
didn't
do
turn
it because you're in fucking Mando.
Well, you're in Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's what they're banging on.
They do that. They get everything they need from you for the day for peanuts, basically, compared to what they're going to earn. They air it for a certain amount of time. Like, who knows what sort of nefarious things they can come up with. Imagine if they screened Mando season 1 for 12 months, got everybody addicted to Grogu and Baby Yoda, and then ripped it off the air to save on the tax side of things. Then they make $1 billion on the licensing of the character, the Baby Yoda, out from season 1 of Mando.
Yeah.
Like, you make $1 billion on merchandise and clothing and toys and everything out from there, but you've paid $10,000 to everybody that built that franchise. Like, there's nothing stopping these corporate fucks that are making what's the Bob Iger on something like $270 million a year or something like
Absolutely
that.
stupid money.
Like, something ridiculous money
Something
for his company failing.
You can't actually spend it. Like, you really have to try to spend it.
Yeah.
Can I cut in here, please? Can I cut into this dance?
Yeah, go. Yeah.
I want to give some hard stats if I can, because I am engaged to a researcher. So this has rubbed off on me. So the article I'm reading of, and this is a really good article, and I'm going to share it with you guys.
Now he's citing his sources. It's almost like
no,
a
this is the
professional
best
podcast.
Thing. No, this cites how many sources it's citing. This is the best thing.
It's a meta-analysis.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So this is from it's blog.gitnux.com, GITNUX.com. It's the digital versus physical media statistics. This is a market data report. Was released on the 18th of August, 2023. So it's fresh as fuck.
This feels like vindication here coming.
No. I just want to say that we've actually done some proper. We've got some proper research.
At least one of the three of us, one third of us has done research.
So 3 journalists involved. It's cited by 138 sources, and there's 48 statistics researched. Just so I'm not pulling these numbers out of my collective asshole. So going back to music, let's just say I'm just going to pull some random facts out there. Just it gives a real insight into the physical versus digital media. The concept we're
Start spitting numbers.
CD album sales in the US have dropped 95% since 2000 and at their lowest level since 1986. So that's music related. I think that's pretty fucking fascinating. The one that I just
but not surprising.
This one really affects us as gamers. 80% of nearly 80% of all PS5 and PS4 games are bought digitally.
You know what's
I think
fucked
that's
about
insane.
that? You know what's fucked about that? And it's a point that I've raised, that I've written down for this discussion. It is frequently $20 to $40 more expensive to buy a game digitally than it is to walk into a store and get it physically.
In Australia.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know what it's like in
America.
America.
I would say, so they
People
say
like
this statistic highlights the growing trend of digital downloads for video games. So that probably includes games that we have bought collector's editions for that come with a download code.
Yeah.
So I think that's potentially a slightly skewed.
Get into that later.
We will. In 2021, digital media consumption surpassed traditional media. 58.8% of the global population using digital devices compared to 41.2% traditional media consumers. And then there was another one in here which I probably should have highlighted and taken out, but I didn't. And it was around the DVD. Here we go. In 2021, the film industry is expected to generate $28.7 billion of digital revenue, while physical copies will only represent $2.2 billion. Again, they're still in the fucking $1 billion market region, but still, that is a $25 billion deficit.
So that's really interesting. But you do need to have a causality conversation about this, right?
True.
Are we buying less physical media because studios are making it more convenient and easier to consume streaming services and making it harder to go out of your way and buy physical media? Or have we just simply gravitated towards it for other reasons? Right? There's a real causality conversation.
I have a big argument in favor of it for being other reasons, in the sense that when I have to pack up and move house as a renter,
Sure.
I don't want to take a box of DVDs with me anymore.
Sure, that's fair. But I also think I think the music industry probably paved the way for us. It's increased acceptance of this situation for video
100%.
games and movies.
Yeah.
Like no one buys unless you're going to buy records. I can't remember the last time. I don't even think I genuinely don't know if Sanity is still solvent in Australia.
I think there's one store.
If you're overseas, Sanity was one of the largest, if not the largest, music chains in Australia.
There's one Sanity store in Australia, and I'm pretty sure it's close to closing down.
Yeah, right. So yeah, if you're overseas, Sanity was like you'd walk in, the whole store was just wall to wall CDs, CD music, and they're sounds like on the verge.
But
they also
had to do
Blockbuster went.
But they also had to do what JB did and moved into selling movies as well.
Yes, but not successfully like JB did, because JB diversified their portfolio into fucking everything.
Everything, yeah.
They sell home appliances now. They sell fucking sandwich toasters and
that's 4 or 5 years
cleaners.
Old. But that's diversifying.
No,
Sanity,
but they've got to because
Sanity
of the
has
things
closed all their brick and mortar stores.
Yeah, there you go.
So the final two stores were in Queensland, and they were in Bundaberg and Browns Plains. They shut back in April.
So there's also the collector in us, and I can only speak for myself, but all of us are collectors in various ways. Just looking at the shit in the backgrounds of all three of our houses, yeah, we're all collectors of various things relating to pop culture. I've always been a collector of DVDs and then Blu-rays and then 4Ks, and I have culled my collection over the years. I don't have as strong an emotional connection to keeping stuff as I used to, just because as you get older, you get a little bit more pragmatic. And to your point, Tom, no one wants to spend fucking 6 weeks moving because you got to box up all this shit.
Yes.
But if you are a collector of Blu-rays or 4K discs in Australia moving forward, and we are talking as if Disney's announcement will be followed by everyone else in the industry.
Yeah.
That hasn't been announced yet. We're just making that assumption that
I wouldn't expect it to be far off.
No,
I
fuck
wouldn't
no.
expect either.
And we've been predicting it for some time now anyway.
Yeah.
But I think if you wanted to collect, so I think 4K is okay, but DVDs are region coded. So it's if you are a DVD collector specifically,
I think Blu-rays are okay because you can still get like PlayStation
region
games
zeroed.
on Blu-ray.
Yeah. Whereas DVDs, we are region 4 with. You can't import Region 1 discs from the US.
No, not unless you have a very special DVD player. Yeah.
So that leads into the question I asked I think, at the end of our conversation on chat, and that is, I feel like the convenience of streaming almost killed piracy. Like, the amount of people...
It really did.
Like, I put a lot of effort...
Also, there was a massive crackdown on piracy at this kind of the same time that streaming... They really went hard on like Pirate Bay and stuff around the same time that streaming became more prevalent.
Insofar as they could, Tom. We had
taking things down.
We had some ACMA takedown notices. You had, which is the American Multimedia Copyright Act.
Yeah, I know. As far as they can, but they did try and they did a push. They did a push. Let's say a push.
You had people in Australia receiving letters. You had people in Australia receiving letters from Telstra, let alone vendors or overseas studios. You had people on not 60 Minutes, but like National 9 News fucking talking about the massive fine that their kid had racked up for pirating this shit. But at the same time, if you had 3 fucking brain cells to rub together and could download shit, then you could get around all of that pretty safely. It just became a convenience thing. Statute of limitations, I was a mad fucking pirate. All my teenage years.
I was the king of the 7 seas, don't get me wrong.
I had a NAS, like a NAS plugged into my TV with terabytes of downloaded movies and TV series. And in a lot of cases, I actually ended up buying the movie on disc or the TV show on disc because I wanted to support the studio or to support the show. But I didn't want to fucking wait 12 months for it to be released, so I just downloaded it immediately. It was HDMI straight into my amplifier. It had surround sound. It had Atmos, although Atmos was kind of at the end of it all. It just all got too fucking hard. For $12 a month, I can watch anything I want to watch on Netflix. Why bother? But if they're going to do this sort of crap, if I want to watch Dogma, I have to go to my NAS.
Yeah.
Because a certain somebody I won't name stole my physical DVD copy of Dogma. You know exactly who it is, Dan. You knew straight away.
Maybe we perform a heist to get that back.
There's a few things in there we should perform a heist to get back.
Yeah. There's a red lightsaber that went walkabouts too. So I would have to go back to my NAS to watch Dogma if I wanted to. We almost saw the end of piracy. Is this not encouraging piracy to kind of take back up again?
See, I really think it is. Especially when you're talking about when you purchase something. And I think you brought this up, Pete, and you can definitely correct me if I'm wrong and I've misread that thing. But isn't there something like when you digitally buy it, you don't just rent it because that's for what, the 24 to 48 hours to watch, or 96 hours to watch it, and you kind of have to watch it in one hit. You can't I'll come back to this thing. Yeah. But when you buy the digital license for something, say if Dan had bought the Mario movie digitally.
Yep.
In an X amount of time, they can go, well, actually, that's not provided anymore, so we're taking that license back. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying before. I think you only ever buy a right to, and it's not an irrevocable right. They can revoke that right whenever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
Well, I think a fantastic version of that is the PT demo, the Silent Hill PT Guillermo del Toro demo. Who's the guy that came out with Silent Hill? Anyway, doesn't matter.
Hideo Kojima.
Hideo Kojima. Yeah, the demo that came out on the PlayStation many years ago, and then I downloaded it. I had it on my PlayStation. I actually deleted it from my PlayStation before they pulled it down because I'd played through it a couple of times, and then people were selling their PlayStations with that downloaded on there for thousands of dollars
because you couldn't download it anymore.
You couldn't download it anymore. It got removed from the PlayStation Network, but this was before they had a license. You had a license to access it. It was downloaded on the PlayStation. You could play it, and they were selling PS4s with the PT demo downloaded on it for thousands of dollars because people wanted this part of history. And it was ridiculous.
Insane.
This is something that I played several times through, thought it was fantastic, really looking forward to the game, and it didn't happen because Hideo Kojima had to leave Konami and went off and did his own thing. He got booted out of Konami. Yeah. So, and then that really whole thing got scrapped. So,
well, it's the kind of thing with the PSPlus library. Like, you talk about games that, like, when it first announced, everyone was like, sick, I can download these games, I can play them. And I remember being caught up in one of them. It was the first time they were like, hey, these games are leaving the server in X amount of time. And I had to like speed run one of these games. It was Shadow Warrior 3. It was pretty average. Very easy. It was Doom clone. But it was one of those things that was like, when I finally read the news report saying this is leaving PS Plus extra in a certain amount of days, it was like, I had 2 days to complete this game, like start to finish. And it was kind of like, well, I've always wanted to, because it looks stupid, I wanted to play it. But then obviously playing it was like turned out to be like an 8-hour game, so it was fine. But it was just like, it was one of those things that like, imagine if you were halfway through, like me at the moment, I'm playing Skyrim, I'm 130 hours in. If suddenly next week they go,
pull it off the shelves.
We're pulling that off the
someone got sued.
Yeah, and we're pulling it off the system, and I'll be like, well, I've invested X amount of time.
But so like I was saying before, in the past with physical media for video games and movies, because we've kind of blurred this conversation into video games interchangeably with movies, but I think that's relevant too.
Yeah.
And Dan, it's funny what you just said, what you just described, because you have brought that up before, was one of the few things that I don't remember which medium it was in, but I got called out on social media around Pixels and Pints on that topic. I was challenged to find another example of a video game being pulled the way that example was. Because I actually struggled to find another example. There were other examples, but not really big name ones.
Yeah.
Anyway, but certainly you look at Dogma. It's far more relevant and prevalent in the movie industry.
Just because it hasn't happened in gaming yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I mean, you get anybody that's going to end up in controversy because God knows the path we're going down now that whatever's going to become.
I'm honestly surprised they didn't do it with
society.
Cyberpunk. If you want to think about a game, like that was so at launch.
Yeah, but
I actually think what Dan's talking about is more politics affecting.
It's definitely politics. I mean, we go down these paths where something is going to be something that was created in the 80s or 90s. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Okay, Duke Nukem. Let's go Duke Nukem forever.
Yeah.
Duke Nukem 64. You go, okay, you know what? Most of the young people playing that these days are going to go, that is completely unacceptable, walking into a strip club and just throwing fucking digital dollars out at these strippers and saying inappropriate lines. They're going to go, you know what? We don't need this kind of heat. This shit's coming down from Steam or whatever you can buy it on now. Honestly,
it's offensive to represent Nazis, so we're going to pull Wolfenstein off
there
service.
You go. Yeah. We're gonna pull the original Wolfenstein. We're gonna pull the new remake of Wolfenstein. Like, you can't do these sort of things these days, or whatever it's gonna be. And they're gonna go, you can't play that anymore. I'm an adult. I can play whatever the fuck I want. I can consume whatever the fuck I want,
unless we revoke the license that we
unless you revoke a license,
or unless it's made it past the ratings board, because then you actually can't, because there's stuff that doesn't get released in Australia.
Yeah, but not much these days now that we've got an R rating for video games.
Yes.
I think that's a topic for another day. I think that's another good one.
Actually, it is a good topic.
Yeah, there we go.
Once something else gets hit. But I think where we are now, and this came up in our conversation when this got brought up as well, is, yes, my analogy of a drug dealer versus a movie dealer is kind of a little extreme, saying I'm no longer going to have a drug dealer, I'm going to have a movie dealer. No, I'm going to have a drug dealer and I'm going to have a movie dealer. Thank you very much. Fuck all you guys. But it is. If this is the way it goes,
it is pushing it underground.
I'm currently pulling back from more and more streaming services. We have 2 paid for streaming services. 2.
Yeah.
We've only a household of 2, but
you've got 2 that you pay for, and then there might be some shared accounts.
I wasn't going to say that, but
no, it's an important point, because Disney have now decided to go they're thinking of going the Netflix route of
locking it down,
so you can't share your Disney Plus account.
So I don't want to be cut off from those movies that I really want to watch. I own all my Star Wars movies. I don't have Disney Plus anymore. I cut that off months and months ago, and I am not and will not.
I don't have a VHS player, but I've still got the VHS version of the THX remaster.
I've got 3 copies, 3 VHS copies in this cabinet right next
to
me, which I brought up from the garage.
I should put the gold foil copy behind me.
Mine's right there, literally right.
Every time I look at them, I can make the THX noise in my head, not out loud.
So I've got all my Star Wars movies. Yeah. I've got up to Last Jedi. I've owned the 3 prequels.
I actually don't own the 3.
And they're on DVD. Yeah,
I don't own Rise of Skywalker, and I won't own Rise of Skywalker. But if Mando Season 1 and Mando Season 2 were available on DVD, Blu-ray,
well, you better buy it quick.
I would, but they're not. They're not. They're not. They never were. Okay. They never were. None of the Disney Plus series were ever put on physical media. So this isn't a huge step for Disney. Like, Disney is saying, "Oh, we're cutting out physical media." Okay. Let's say the good ones you've released so far. I'm not even sure Rebels has ever been physical release. Clone Wars was up until season 6. I'm not sure.
Clone Wars, you could. No, they did the whole thing.
Season 7 as well?
I'm pretty sure they did the release of it, yeah.
Sure. But I'm not sure Rebels ever got a physical release. And I'm just going Disney things here now, because they're the ones that have said they're going to pull.
I can buy a season 1, 2 DVD of Mandalorian on Amazon right now for $50 if you want.
Oh no, fuck off. They've got to be.
It's got to be the dodgiest.
It's got to be
rip
fake.
copy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an official license release, but
but this is what it's encouraging. This sort of behavior.
We're talking about the pirating thing. Yeah,
I would buy,
but it's just
100% licensed physical release, because I want that. I want that 100%. But you know what's sad, Dan? Pay for their good content. That's their good content. I would happily pay for that.
What I think is sad about this conversation, and that we haven't even talked about the impact on brick and mortar stores that are selling DVDs for a living and its impact on them. But the reality is, it's just old farts like us that give a shit, because like 15-year-olds right now have only ever known streaming services, and I would presume
Well, it's the convenience factor. It's going onto a streaming service and being able to go, well, fuck, I don't want to watch like all that season of Mandalorian right now, but I want to watch one episode, and then I want to flick over to another service and watch another episode of something else that I'm watching.
It's the dumb Americans quote from the writer of Witcher 3 in our last episode. Is like, it's the TikTok generation. You've got a 5-minute attention span. I'll watch. But I wasn't making. I didn't intend to make a joke there when I started. It's just more. It's offensive to us because we have grown up with physical media, and once I buy something, I have the right to watch it forever until I don't have a VHS player anymore. But 15-year-olds haven't grown up in that era. That's just not been a part of their DNA. That's not a part of their expectation. And you talk about politics being the thing that's pulling stuff off, or could potentially pull stuff off shelves. I am way more worried about the Willow story than I am about the politics story, because it is far more prevalent that why should I continue to pay royalties to Metallica because I put their song in my movie? That movie's not being streamed anymore all that often. I'm just going to take it off my streaming list, and I don't have to pay Metallica royalties anymore. It's a financial decision. That scares the fuck out of me, because that's going to be far more prevalent than Ezra Miller finally did something to got himself locked up, and now we're going to have all this stuff taken off streaming. I think it's more likely going to be a financial decision.
It is, and they shouldn't be able to make, if they're going to make content for us to consume, then it should be
in perpetuity. Yeah, you can watch
forever.
It forever.
Yes.
Forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
same way that writing a book.
No. Actually, I disagree with that, because that's not how economics works. Like,
but
because not everyone was buying those DVDs or those VHSs or whatever. So like just because you.
But not everyone was buying the books. But I think the whole concept of censorship, of deleting a part of history because it's no longer rubs current society the right way, is a very dark place to go in terms of remembering who we are as a species and where we came from. And I went very meta very quickly there.
You went very meta very fucking quickly.
I granted, but I think every movie that we put out there and we watch, or we consume as consumers and they produce as producers, is a piece of literary history. And it might not be important, or it might be important, but the ability to delete it from the collective consciousness is not a good thing, in my opinion.
Can I pose something? This is going to be radically controversial here, and
more controversial than the shit that comes out of my mouth on this podcast.
Yeah, this one probably is going to be. I'm not sure.
You can't have a digital copy of Mein Kampf. Fuck off.
That was exactly where I was. That's exactly where I was going.
I knew as soon as you said controversial, I knew it was going to be that.
If that was somebody saying, "Oh, you know what? We're no longer going to print physical copies of Mein Kampf," we'd all go, "Yeah, cool."
Well, I think they have said that. I'm pretty sure that's
they stopped printing that book a while ago. But those books still exist.
But there has to be somebody out there.
And this is the point.
Yes,
this is the point. With digital media only being released to streaming, they can turn a switch off and it disappears from existence, as opposed to Mein Kampf, where they don't print it anymore. But it's a physical piece of history,
for better or worse.
It still exists.
They still exist in the world.
But yes. And this is actually this is a really good point, and I'm with you on this one. But there is also like a really good movement that's not official in any way, shape, or form, but the digital archivists that have formed on the internet, like especially for a lot of gaming history. Like they tend to seem to focus on gaming. But those are the people that go back and do that. And like that, but I don't think they'll never die. Like those, whether or not you can get it digitally or you can get it physically, there'll still be the archivists who will find whatever way they need to get that content, and keep a record of it. So I know what you're saying, that it's probably not going to be as prevalent in a mass sense in society. but I don't think they'll ever get away with actually like removing it from
existence.
But you know,
There's still going to be the dude who goes into the cinema with the camcorder in his trench coat and records the dodgy thing with a dude chewing popcorn behind him. You're always going to get that rip, that rip. Of that film.
and that's exactly what I was going to say. You know who the archivists are likely to be moving forward? Pirates.
Yeah.
It's ironic, but they'll end up providing a service that I think would be inaccessible to most people otherwise.
Yes.
Oh.
Whoa. Speaking
Dan's
of pirates,
world turned
Dan's on the high
upside-
seas there. Just hit a bit of turbulence. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But I think this is a fascinating subject because it's going to change the future.
Oh, no, it
of
is.
the-
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not, in no way am I saying that, like,
No. I don't think you were.
So
We're not minimizing this.
It is an absolutely, like, and I 100% agree with you. The idea that you can remove parts of history that you could learn from is terrifying.
Yes. And I want to throw one more curveball in here. So I'm both a PS5, PS4, and PC gamer.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The PlayStation has the network, the PSPlus, where it gives you a couple of games, which we've covered quite a lot. It gives you limited discounts across the network of digital downloads.
Yep.
But when you look at things like Steam, is like incredible the discounts they give you on games. So I own a physical copy on the PS4 of Metro Exodus. I didn't want to play that. I started playing it, thought it was a great game. I didn't want to continue playing that style of game on the PlayStation because it's something that I've traditionally played on the PC. The PC like collector's edition came up for sale the other day from $54.95 to $11.50.
Yeah, right.
So it was an 80% discount. And it still is currently that on Steam. And Steam does this every 2 or 3 months. They find any excuse they can. It's fucking Easter. It's bloody.
It's a week before Halloween.
It's Independence Day, Halloween, Christmas, good Thanksgiving. Like
PlayStation
PlayStation
currently have an August sale on.
Yeah.
Purely for the month of August.
We couldn't come up with anything better.
Black Friday.
Have an August sale.
They finished the winter sale and they announced the August sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the Steam PC versions of this are always far more drastic discounts than anything else.
The PlayStation equivalent, yeah.
Now, where I wanted to go with this was I will not buy a major release on PlayStation digitally.
Mm-hmm.
I will always buy the physical copy. I apologize, Kratos, that Ragnarok I bought digitally because I wasn't able, whatever was happening in my life at the time, I wasn't able to get
to a store
physical copy from the store at that stage. So I did buy
Ragnarok. I think
Ragnarok
it was COVID,
digitally.
wasn't it?
It might have been. Sure. I don't know. Whatever it was, it forced me to buy Ragnarok in digitally. I would never buy a PlayStation game. If I can get a physical copy, I will buy the physical copy because I want the disc. I want my PlayStation disc. But PC
I know where
games,
this is going now.
PC games, I won't buy a physical copy of a PC game. And Pete, you just reminded me that actually wasn't where I was going, but it will be now.
Because PC games, physical copies of PC games have been what you're about to describe for about 15 years.
So this Pete brought this up, so I'm going to go into it. It's been brought up before.
3, 4, 5.
So
I'm going to go pee while you do that.
Cyberpunk. I bought Cyberpunk the collector's edition on PC because that's where I wanted to play it, and I'm glad that is where I'm playing it. And it was just a digital download code. What you touched on before, Tom, with the Baldur's Gate. I mean, why are we not getting? Okay, fuck it. Give someone a physical disc and give them a download code with a collector's edition. Like if they want to,
just have two options. If you're going to have a digital edition console and then a physical disc console, then release both as an option to buy. Like in terms of the game, you release some discs and you release some codes because you got one that can do both, and you got one that will do one. But the people who have the one that has a disc will probably potentially want a disc. I'm definitely with you. I'm very much getting over the idea, and it just seems so redundant of buying a collector's edition because I want all the extra shit. I wanted my Kratos, my Ragnarok Mjolnir. I wanted that more than words can say, and I love playing with it. I walk around the office and hit myself in the head with it all the time. I love it, but why give me a fucking steelbook case that is never going to be filled with a disc? Yeah.
But you know,
now I'm going to pee. Fuck. Now you've made me angry.
but this is video games.
Tom hasn't muted himself. That's dangerous.
I think I can mute him. Yes, I can. It's funny because I can't unmute him, so that's a one-way trip. That one.
Ooh.
I think video games. I think there is a distinct difference between video games and movies on this topic.
But it's also video games within themselves, because you've got the PC and the PlayStation, Xbox side of things. So there is sub.
But that's the point I was about to make. So you talk about buying the physical media for, let's say, a game like God of War, Ragnarok. You even if you had, because Tom and I did, because we wanted the collector's edition and all the pretty toys and all the rest of it. But we bought the physical media. You stick the media in. You've still got to install it on the PlayStation, and the first thing it does is download a 90 gigabyte patch.
Yeah.
And if they decided that they didn't want you to have the game anymore, they would deny you that patch and you couldn't play the game because it would have a game-breaking bug in the first 10 seconds of playing the original disc version. So the video game industry has set this trend in the same way the music industry has now for about 15 years. That like World of Warcraft, I distinctly remember buying all the collector's boxed edition, and you wait for weeks for this thing to come out, and you spend $180 for a game that everyone else is spending $60 to buy because it's just an expansion. It's not even an actual video game, and yet the first thing you do when you install it is it doesn't even really download it from the disc. It downloads it from the internet.
Yeah, it's just a license you're putting in there on the disc. Yeah.
So
Tom,
movies
you need to unmute yourself.
Yes, because no one wanted to hear the tinkle noises, just in case.
So I do have a heavy stream.
So the point is that video games have been paving the way for this in the same way the music industry has for a long time, and it's really just movies that have been the last bastion or the last holdout for physical media actually meaning something.
Yeah,
but okay, so second curveball, third curveball, 10th curveball, whichever way we want to throw.
I picture curveballs now. I can just whack them out of the park. Yeah.
So books, like Pete, you read Kindle books, but like I will not and never will give up my physical media of my books. My books, I will still read most of the comic books that I want to read regularly, or the big release ones. I still will read in physical media. Digital ones that just mean nothing to me, I'll read.
I'll typically buy the omnibus and then get about 20% of the way through.
Yeah,
I still haven't finished Spawn.
Physical books, I will never ever read a book on a digital media. Like I had to once for a sequel that I couldn't buy the physical copy for in Australia, but that was it. Just the physical copies were just, this was pre-worldwide Amazon Day.
It's really interesting. I actually think it's a personality thing, Dan, because
it definitely is a personality thing.
I wholeheartedly disagree with that statement. But
yeah, you're a digital heartless.
No, just let me get to my point after Pete says his thing.
So, Dan with the C-bombs. So what I was going to say is I actually end up buying the physical book after already buying the Kindle book. I buy the Kindle book because it's convenient to read while I'm on the train for 10 minutes. I can get, half an hour lunch break at work. I don't have to carry a physical book around with me. I can read it anywhere. But I still want to own the physical media because I just love that smell of books, and I love having it on the bookshelf. And I'm a lot more selective with the books that I buy versus the books that I buy on Kindle. So I've got something like 450 odd books in my Kindle library now. and I've got maybe 30 books on my bookshelf that I've actually kept that aren't like work textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very, very selective.
But just because you buy a physical book doesn't mean you have to keep the physical book.
True. But every physical book that I've bought, I've already owned the Kindle version of.
So before you call me a digital heartless C-bomb...
Oh, that was Pete that I called him.
Yeah. Oh, actually,
it was Pete,
okay.
not you.
I felt that you were calling Tom that too.
Yeah,
no.
really
No. That was purely directed at Pete. Don't worry, Tom. That was
I've got your number. I and this is a thing that I already brought up. Where I think you were taking a pee before, and I brought it up. But it's literally the I think the big thing around the digital to physical media, a big part of it now is that a lot of people our age and younger don't own their own properties, and they have to rent and they have to move when it's at the behest of their landlord. I wouldn't be in the house I'm currently in if I had a choice. Emma and I were talking about it last night. We loved our old place. Absolutely loved it. But our landlord turned around and said, piss off your tart. And that's the thing. It's just like, if I had to downsize a whole lot to get into this place that we've got now, and I had to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. And I think a lot of the people who, like, the Australian dream of owning a 3 to 4 bedroom house with the family rooms, it's non-existent anymore.
Fucked that idea 20 years ago.
Well, also space and overpopulation is a factor of that. But it's like, I think about my mate Pat, who lives in New York. And it's just like, there's no way he could have the amount of stuff that he would love to have. And he's a music guy. Like, he would love to have a room of records. I guarantee he would literally sell his left nut to have an entire room of records.
I've got a spare room of just hobby stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
but
it's just
that's a major
stuff.
factor now for people these days in terms of thinking about, like, can I actually get the physical copy of the thing, or will I be happy to, like, go with the digigital version of that? And whether or not it's having like a bunch of hard drives with shit on it, like that's another like, you know, if you can do that, then hats off to you. But I don't think that's something that the general layperson can really think of when they want to hold, like, even if it's, you know, scans of books into PDFs to be taken away. It's space is a real issue in a heavily overpopulated world.
I respectfully disagree with that. I think the desire and the need to own physical copies of classics and everything going forward. If you own a physical copy of something and you've enjoyed it for years, whether it be games, movies, books, whatever, there is outlets for you to move that on through digital means and brick and mortar means. There is secondhand bookstores where you can take hundreds of books there if you need to, and then offload them before you move or anything like that.
But then you're not holding on to that product.
You're passing it on for a new legacy as well. That media is still there for someone to consume. You're not throwing that thing in a bin. Anybody who throws a book away
is fucked in the head.
You are fucking trash. Like, even if it's a piece of shit book, like, you need to pass that on just so someone else can suffer as much as you did when you read that piece of shit book.
Well, I'm a piece of shit. I have thrown books away, but the reason I had to throw them away was because they were infected with mold.
Okay, that's a different story.
That's a health risk.
Yes,
but like my ex
copy of Lord of the Rings as well that I'd read for 20 odd years.
My ex-girlfriend
sent that to the that's something. No, you send that to the immigration department and say, "Oh, hey, someone has illegally brought this into the country for me. Can you irradiate this for me so I can?"
My dad works with gamma radiation. He was like, "That's unsavable."
Really?
Yeah,
unsavable? Oh, god damn!
And I wasn't allowed to burn it because that's a safety risk and, you know, health risk.
Yeah. So my
that's how Last of Us.
My ex got deported and back to where she came from, and left a bunch of really terrible, like the modern day equivalent of Mills and Boon novels, like horrible, shitty romance novels. And they got donated to like a book library. Yeah, no, after I read them. Something about the room in 6E. I don't know. But you can donate them. There's these little book nooks around the most random places.
Street book libraries are one of the greatest inventions. Yes.
Yeah. So that's why disagree with that. I think physical copies are things of here's me going down in the rabbit hole. Things of beauty. I think books with the
you and I have
really
talked about this.
Yeah, I think they are absolutely works of art, and I think some movies are works of art. I think we've lost a little bit of that in recent years when we first had these physical media of movies. And I know we need to wrap this up, and this is me going on another fucking tangent.
But it's still. I'm sorry. My whole thing is that contradicts the point of you saying yes, you can donate it if you need to move, but then you don't have access to it unless you turn to another streaming service.
But that's only if you don't want to take it with you. If you truly and utterly want to take something with you,
logistically, there are times where you can't take it with you. Like if you're going, if I was
then that's a decision to make.
That's a priority decision.
That's a life choice.
No, sometimes it's an economic choice that you are forced into.
Yeah,
no, that's a very real. No, that's much more prevalent than I think you think it is. But it's not something that you can always take with you. I think that's a privilege point.
I feel like it's an extreme. I feel like it's an extreme example where you go from a 2-bedroom house to homeless and need to make those.
I wasn't even talking about homeless. I'm going from a 2-bedroom house to a 1-bedroom house. That is a massive downsize.
Sure, but you made a priority decision about what you kept and what you didn't. Right? You still have the privilege of being able to decide what to keep. And you may argue
probably
that
pick the clothes and the kitchen things you need rather than your books and your games.
I think that's completely off the topic of where we are, but
it's not. It's a realistic thing that my friends are currently having to go through when they're getting forced out of their houses.
I'm not saying it's not a realistic thing. I think that's a completely different discussion from where we are about Disney taking the choice away from us to have physical copies than the choice of us to have physical copies.
Yes, that is true. Yeah. But we're also being realistic, and we look at the stats, and it's just that people aren't buying those physical copies anymore.
But do you think they're not buying them because they're in the space or the realm of your friends, or do you think it's just a generation of people that have come in and have never needed?
No, I think it's something they've moved into when they've moved out of their parents' house where they had the space. Now they don't have the space, and so they go, "Cool, if I want to watch those things, I have to go digital." Digital doesn't take up space.
I would respectfully challenge, not disagree, but challenge the validity of whether or not that statistic is being swayed by a younger generation of people that are making that choice because they've never really known another choice, like they've grown up in that world, versus people your age and my age and our age that have to make that choice because life's tough sometimes. I actually think it's more likely, it's more prevalent. That's a 5th beer.
That was a very slow.
Yeah.
Not here to fuck spiders. Yeah.
I think it's more prevalent because 15, 16, 18-year-olds have only grown up in a streaming world.
Yes.
I mean, you ask them what a landline looks like. They've got no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like it's a truly different generation. But I also think there's a connection to tangibility that people go through when they want to reject digital society, and I think there is a natural humanistic nature that drives us to, from time to time, reject the digital world we live in. And Dan and I were talking about this not too long ago about some literature that I've been purchasing. The most expensive, realistically expensive version of a book that I could find that I loved. And I'll buy 1 or 2 books a month, and they'll cost $50 to $100, and that's a splurge. That's a nice to have. Like to spend $50 to $100 on a book like Dante's Purgatory. It's not a mandatory purchase. It's not putting food on the table. It's not keeping a roof over my head. So it's very much today a splurge, and yet it's important to me. I've already read the book. Dan's going to the bathroom.
Yeah,
I think there's a part of us that does, like, it's very easy and convenient to consume digital technology or digital media, but there is a part of us that still wants to connect tangibly and physically to the things that we have an emotional connection to.
No, I agree with that because there's definitely a reason I bought the disc edition of the PS5. Like
there's a reason you bought the collector's edition of Ragnarok too.
Yeah.
Of God of War Ragnarok. That's very much wanting a tangible connection to something that you respect and love.
Yeah. But I really think, especially as the idea of that Australian having the house and having the space to have, like we've made the choices to have our stuff behind us, but that's not a choice that's often prevalent more so these days.
I don't necessarily disagree. But I do agree with Dan that it's a different topic, because this conversation is about the monolithic multi-trillion-dollar company is making the choice for us, as opposed to boots on the ground choices you have to make day to day.
It did kind of naturally. I think that's definitely a factor of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we need to wrap this topic, to be honest.
Well, I don't know where we can.
It was a good topic, though.
We can't really go anywhere more until we just start just saying fuck you streaming services. Like, that's basically just where it's going to end up of, like, us, in another beer deep and going like, yeah, fuck.
But we've also, like, we've reaped the benefit of those streaming services too.
I'm going to get another beer.
Yeah.
Why do you think I did that
when he gets back?
Yeah. But no, it is. I definitely think the historical point that you guys brought up about, like, the removing history is a dangerous precedent, but like, at the same time, like, God bless those digital archivists and the work they do to keep that stuff alive.
What I'm worried about is, like, I'm like the justification for removing Willow. Willow was a tragic fucking series. Like, it was a fail. It wasn't irredeemably bad. It wasn't like a D grade bomb, but it wasn't. But it also wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination. Right? It was all kinds of wrong.
Yeah.
But at the same time, pulling it off streaming services for no other reason than you don't want to pay the young actress who starred in it.
No, that's a very I agree.
That offends me in a way that, like, I am, as much as I was maybe too young or too naive or didn't give a fuck enough to really connect with why the Writers Guild had a strike for as long as they did last time around.
Yeah.
To me, it was just like, I'm devoid of content. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Can you guys just get over it, because I want to watch some shit on TV? That was my attitude as a maybe late teenager. But I can absolutely.
Later than that. It was later than that. I was out of school. Yeah.
Oh, well, then I was just a C-bomb of a young 20-something-year-old.
Can I say it?
Don't say it, Dan. I have to bleep enough, motherfucker. But this
Let's
whole
come up with a
concept
new word instead of the C-bomb. We'll just go down the Treebeard route. Just butterroom.
Frack it. Yeah. Frack it all. But the idea that SAG-AFTRA is striking because actors should not be digitally cloned without payment.
No.
I totally fucking agree with. And it's not
and that's another conversation we can go into in the next episode.
I think it's not a big leap.
The AI problem.
But it's not a big leap to go from that to, I don't want to pay the main actress royalties from Willow season 1, so I'll just take it off streaming because it's not making enough money anyway, so fuck that bitch.
Yeah.
She put a year of her life into that show.
Yeah.
Like, she thought that was going to be her break, that was going to lead her to stardom.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's especially young actors.
And she gets nothing. And she was a young actress.
Gone forever. No physical copies in the world.
Yes. So she can't even put it in her portfolio and have anyone watch it.
The young pirates out there in the wild.
Yeah, but like, can you imagine saying to your prospective employer, go and watch this movie I starred in, and they can't see it?
They can't find it. Yeah.
Like, it's really fucked up.
Hey, I was in Willow 5 years ago. Oh, didn't Disney delete that from their entire archive
after it was released?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yet people,
hard, man, it's hard.
And yet people are genuinely upset that BBC had a fire in their warehouse and lost all of their Doctor Who seasons 1 through 5. Like, that's a big deal.
That's a big deal. That's a
huge deal for massive nerds like me. But like, people lament
historical
that,
reasons. Right? Yeah. Historical reasons.
And yet now we're doing it on purpose. Some fuck has to sit there and hit the delete key and does that knowingly. Like, yeah. Anyway. We should move on. I'm going to go get another beer.
Well, while we're doing that, Dan, are you winning, son?
Oh, I'm not going to go into anything new here. This is, or did you scare Jasper then?
I did a big clap. Big old clap.
I'm not doing anything new here. I'm rolling into the Doom Eternal DLC.
Nice. How is it?
Doom Eternal, Ancient Goods. It's Ancient Goods, Ancient Gods. It's
the ancient gods are giving you the ancient goods.
Ancient Goods, yeah, it definitely is, because it's just more Doom Eternal. It's just,
I'm so excited to play it. I'm once I'm done with Skyrim, it's the next game lined up.
Yeah. It just made me happy running into it again for a little bit, and it had a really cool little Doom Doom Slayer intro for the DLC, and it was
okay.
It's a very contained story. You don't get to go.
Are you into one or two? Is two?
I'm just in one at the moment. In Doom Eternal, you get your Doom Fortress, which is the space station that you go back to after each major mission. Mm-hmm. And that's where you see all your collectibles. And I was really negative on the Doom Fortress when I first started playing it. But then I realized where the collectibles all start to turn up. So in the main game, the secret areas that you go and pick up bits and pieces in, unlike 2016, these are all records and bobbleheads and things like that. But the records you pick up appear as concert posters on the wall of the Doom Fortress, the space station, and you go up to them and you click on them and you can play the music from Quake, the music from Quake 2, the music from Original Doom, from Doom 2, from Doom 64. Yep. So it actually, you go, you know what? I want to go.
That's really cool. I'm nostalgic. I want to go back.
I want to go and find all. I want to go and find all these little bits and pieces. What? But they're not marked on the map. They're only marked as a secret. They're not marked as what you get.
Record. Yeah.
So I want to go and get the record, because when I get to the fortress next, I want to go and put the fucking original Doom music on. Or I want to put the Doom 64 music on.
That's the way to get Dan to platinum things with collectibles, is to make them actual things you collect, and then do things at your little base.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's the same as the vineyard in The Witcher 3, where you can go and just put your armor stands up and put all your collected armor along the walls in your.
It's your houses in Skyrim. I've got so many armor mannequins at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, but see, I didn't get to do that because that wasn't a thing when I played Skyrim first. So
you have to play it again.
Yeah. So yeah, Doom Eternal, Ancient Gods. It's just more Doom Eternal. Love it.
Yep.
It's more Doom Slayer. Good fun shit.
The game that you hated for a while, but ended up falling in love with.
Yeah.
It's such a great turnaround, Dan.
And like I said last time, I don't think there's ever been a game I've ever played that I've hated and then come to absolutely loving it as much as I do. And then obviously Battlestar Galactica Deadlock.
That's a spotlight topic. Games you turn around. Write that down.
I agree. Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. I've sent you guys some very late night me sitting here at my PC desk drinking scotch.
The first video that you sent of it, I was quite intoxicated when you sent it to me, and I was just like, I remember I was at the pub and mates were like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "Don't know." But I need.
But it looks fucking good, right?
But I need to watch.
Looks like Fallout Tactics, but turned into a space opera.
Yeah,
and this is Star Wars need to do this. I mean, Lucas
or Star
Games,
Trek for that matter.
Yeah, well, Star Trek, any of those ones that people have the real affinity to. I mean, this is the perfect game just to take the framework of. I
think Star Trek have done a game similar to that.
Well, they've got Star Trek Online, which has
that's one
kind of a flowing element, but this is turn based. You literally. One of the pictures I sent you guys was me chasing a singular Cylon ship with the ghost shadows of all my ships going after it were the turns that I was making. So that when I hit start again, that was where my ships were going to go. And this is Star Wars already has this in X-Wing miniature game and Star Wars Armada. They have the tabletop versions of these games. This is exactly what it is. It's just translated to a video game. If they don't do this, this is such a miss on their behalf. Deadlock is such a great addition to the Battlestar Galactica world, but just a great addition to translating what we play on tabletop. And I know it's a bit of a dying genre with us old farts, and playing things physically and all the physical media that we like to collect.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun. So much fun. I'm not going to go into it. Fuck it. Tom, are you winning?
Well, Pete, no, let's go. Pete, are you winning, son?
Oh.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No.
I've
So anyway.
Hang on. I've hit the hard reset, which I'm going to say is
I saw the range logo on that.
Oh.
It's a great beer. That's a fucking.
What is it?
It's a West Coast IPA.
Yeah.
440 ml, 6.7%. It's exactly what I want at this time of night. It's not punching your face, but it's there. It makes its presence known. And hard reset's perfect for someone who finished High on Life, turned off the turned off the Xbox, and hasn't turned on either console since.
I thought you were going to go back to
Red Dead.
RDR, yeah, too.
I've been forcing myself not to because that's a time sink. I'm not going to finish it before Starfield or Baldur's Gate 3. And there's lots of stuff that I need to do work-wise and podcast-wise.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we still haven't released Up Late on YouTube. We actually get quite a few views on YouTube these days, so that's important for us to catch up on. So I've been kind of focusing my time on other stuff.
Oh, that's fair.
So I'm quite happy that.
So I was going to weigh in on my thoughts on you playing Baldur's Gate or Starfield.
Yes,
play Starfield, Pete.
Yeah, play Starfield.
Play Starfield.
Every man and his dog is currently playing Baldur's Gate 3 and spoiling it for everyone. So
I don't care about that. That's not.
No, mine.
Dan and I have a special connection to Larian Studios, I feel.
Yeah, my opinion here is different. If you have something that you're trying to decide between, whether it's Baldur's Gate or Starfield, don't pick Baldur's Gate.
Why?
Because you want to sit and enjoy that world that they have created and take your time and not feel rushed.
I don't know if you've got time, and I don't know if Tom's got time, but it feels like a co-op game to me.
See, I don't.
Never worked. Someone asked me about this last night, and I was like, "Yeah, I know." I was like, someone was like, "Oh, have you played Baldur's Gate 3 yet?" And I was like, "It's not out on consoles." But I know the two guys I would play it with, but we would never match up our schedules.
And I'm
the worst person because I would go ahead.
You can make time.
I don't think so. I think I've played quite a bit of Baldur's Gate. I've played through the 20 hours twice of the same loop because of the updates over the early access period, and I find it quite a personal thing. Like, I find that going into this party of characters that they've created quite a personal thing. I think running these characters with other people controlling them, if you were going to take the main storyline characters that are created for the Baldur's Gate story, quite a personal thing, to you leading this party and directing them in the direction that you think they should go, because they're quite a conflicting party.
Yep.
But if everybody
the legacy
was
characters, but
the legacy characters,
that's the same as Divinity 1 and 2.
It is.
In fact, there were two characters in Divinity 2 that if you had them both in the party, they would kill each other. One would always die.
Yeah, and I think Baldur's Gate is exactly the same thing. And I think if you were to play 3 players in a party of 4 that all created characters of their own, you would also miss an enormous amount in a massive game. So, fuck you guys. I'm playing this on my own.
Okay,
fair
enough.
But that's just my opinion. And I also think Starfield is a very personal thing too, because it's a
Fallout game.
It rolls space into what Tom's about to talk about. I mean, it's a Skyrim. I mean, it's
Bethesda.
It's a world where you feel alone, but you're not alone.
Pete, if it really comes down to it, I would just pick which controller you want to spend more time with over the next, however many hours you're going to invest.
I'm going to end up playing Starfield. I think
you've been more excited for Starfield than you have Baldur's Gate 3, I feel. You've talked about Starfield more.
Yeah.
No,
I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right. And it's funny because I almost messaged you guys a couple of times over the last few days, mainly when drunk, over the last week or so.
Hey guys,
And-
I miss you.
And it's just a really random
least it's
thing
not
that I'm
dick pics.
feeling. True. It's just I've been missing a Fallout game. I'm just like I've been craving a Fallout game. I haven't played Fallout since I platinumed
Four?
Fallout 3.
Oh, do you never play 4?
No, I platinumed New Vegas, which was after Fallout 3.
that
I've
was
never
it.
played 4.
4 was great. I played 4.
Hmm.
4
I
was
just-
also really hard for me to get into. I had to go out and into that for a couple of times.
I just miss the randomness, which I think Starfield will scratch that itch. So, anyway, Fosroda.
Fusroda. Yes, I'm still neck deep in Skyrim. I had 2 weeks off work, and I am 135 hours into Skyrim. I never get tired of just roaming the landscape and listening to
You've
the
talked
music.
it up. You haven't talked it up. Sorry, that's the wrong words to use. You have described this massive time sink to get the to play the game, to finish the game, and I'm starting to question whether or not I actually did platinum it. So I'm.
Oh no,
I'm-
you can platinum it in like 40 hours. If you smash through everything, you can do it in like 40 hours. But
I don't think you can, because you've got to get all of the collectibles. You've got to do all of the dungeons. You've got to.
Collectibles.
I'm
There were
pretty sure.
horns or something like that. There were tokens that got you to.
No, there's the Daedrix things you need to do, the
That's
Daedric
it.
quests. But they actually are pretty fast when you actually think about it. I could probably
I'm
look
seriously
up.
tempted to open my Steam and see what I've collected.
I don't know what my my
See what
hours
my-
are on the game.
see
I
whether
don't,
my
I
connection.
don't even know how
here
you can look
crashes.
it up, to be honest.
I can tell you because I'm on PSN profiles right now. The Elder Scrotums, the Elder Scrotums 5 Skyrim Trophy Guide. They reckon it's okay. Sorry, so it's a 5 out of 10 difficulty. It's 1 playthrough and 125 hours. They reckon.
Yeah, so it's a
I
big
definitely-
fucking game, man.
No, but I definitely think you can do it quicker. You can smash through that main
yeah,
quest.
but I'm not the sort of person that speedruns things. I like to enjoy my run as much as you.
You're
I
talking to
occasionally-
the king of not speedrunning this game. I'm literally like, I walk past and it's like, it's not a filled. It's the blacked out like logo for a cave, and I'm like, well, I have to go that way right now. No, but Tom, you're going to that quest. But well, I can't go to that quest.
It's the ADD of video games.
It's
Like, I have no idea
it's-
how I ended up here, but
it's the
here we
start
are.
of the Incredibles. It's the Mr. Incredible driving the car, and he's like, "Yeah, I've still got time." Like that's what I think. I'm like, "Well, I've got time." I have just been playing through the Dawnguard DLC, which I never played in the first one because I never played the DLCs, and that's been really cool. It's all based around vampires. It's very fun. It's a really good story, and then I'm now super excited after the quality of that to dive into the Dragonborn, which is the second DLC, which takes you to another island. So like both the DLC, the first DLC, it's like they
I've
picked,
played both of those. They
pick
DLC
areas.
was
They pick
excellent.
areas like just off the map technically that they open up in this. But yeah, no, I'm chugging through it. I'm leaving portions. I've got up to the points of the game where I finally finished all the Daedric quests, which I never did because one of them glitched out on me when I played it on PS3. So I finished that. So that's an accomplishment for me. Thieves Guild, I'm going to finish off next. I am a full companion.
Yep.
I actually in part of doing the Dawn Guide, I got cured my lycanthropy. Werewolfness.
What dancer?
Lycanthropy.
Lycanthropy. There you go. To contract vampirism, you can't have both at the same time.
Yeah.
So now I'm a fully fledged vampire lord. Really preferred the lycanthropy. There, it was much
I
better.
agree.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun running around in the
So I know I can cure my vampirism, and then I can
Go back.
recontract. I can become a werewolf again. So I probably will do that. But yeah, I've got up to the funniest thing I forgot. So remember Parthenax, the dragon that's the top of the mountain?
Parthenax.
Do you know who he's voiced by?
No.
He's the same dude who does the Mario voice. Talk about fucking range.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
because it's
Jesus fuck. Yeah, compared
that
to
was 100% clipped.
it's a me, Mario. It's the same guy, same voice actor. That dude,
Wow.
instantly most talented man on the planet.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just remember how big Skyrim was and
I love
walking up the top of the mountain.
Yeah, and you
having
get your horse that's suddenly a mountain goat and it can go vertical up a mountain. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's doing a roach.
Yeah. Oh,
But you have to walk up that mountain the first time and go past all of the little banner things that, like the little pennants. Yeah,
and then just the soundtrack that Jeremy Soule created is definitely one of the greatest game soundtracks of all time.
Also, can confirm platinumed and also 100% at Hearthstone.
Yep.
Dragon.
Done Hearthstone.
Dragon.
Built my houses.
Built your houses.
Yeah.
Dawn Guard and Dragonborn. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm basically finished Dawn Guard, and then I've just got to go. I've never played Dragonborn. I'm super excited. That's when you face off the other Dovahkiin Dragonborn dude. Yeah. So no, it's in there, and I'm just loving it. I'm really loving it. It's
the lore is fantastic. The choices actually make a difference.
Even just the simplest little fetch quest is so fleshed out. Like, you understand why it takes them 10 years to make game to game. Like, I don't know if you remember this. I was just playing the Dawn Guard DLC, and I went to the Soul Plane, and you meet a dude who I remember meeting in Morrowind, and they've put him in that. It's such a fucking throwback. I mean, he's talking about everything that happened in Oblivion and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, oh, it's you, dude. Shit, I remember meeting you. Like, yeah, and then you look up the lore online, and Emma's,
sure enough, it's the same guy.
It's the same guy. Emma's been laughing because I'm like going to bed, and she's like, she's like half asleep, and I usually read a digital comic in bed. Shoot me. But I'll also now just, instead of reading that, I'm like starting reading
on the
like
Wikipedia page for
I'm on a wiki
Skyrim.
page for Skyrim and just reading through lore because I'm like the text they use in game is really hard to read. It actually kind of hurts my eyes a bit. So it's much easier to read on a thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, what quests I just did? Oh, okay, I'll read up on them. I'll read all the lore bits that went into that. So yeah, I'm fucking winning, son, and I'm. Look, after 2 weeks of just that's all I did. People were like, what did you do on your holiday? Did you go away? Did you have a good time? I was like, it's
a staycation, motherfucker.
I was in Tamriel.
Yep.
And I never wanted to leave. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yes, I am winning, son.
All right. I think that might be the end of our episode.
Well, I think that's fucking us. Yep. Well done, everyone. We got there.
In the end.
In the end. If anyone was asking,
if you got there, thank you.
My fifth beer as well that I was drinking. I'm drinking the Sydney Brewery Speakeasy Black IPA. Which is delicious.
Nice.
Oh,
talked about that before.
I have done that before. That's why I cracked. I had another can. Yeah. Get it around your lips and your mouth hole.
You're laughing gear.
All right.
Thank you very much for listening.
Let's fuck off.
Bye.
Catch you.